that's what I'm going to be chattering about today with you. So here's kind of like a rundown of what we're going through, which is what are the different channels and what's the difference between them? What equipment do you need? How can you deal with the terrible internet? What software or programs do you need? What digital assets do you need? What are some of the benefits and how can you maximize and incentivize them? How do you stand out, communicate well, and learn from your audience? How do you deal with trolls? How can you get word out? And how do you use communities to grow?
Question, can I take photos of this?
You can, but I'm more than happy to put the slides up.
Oh, okay. It's just for my memory and...
Yeah, if you'd like to, you can.
Thank you.
But I will put the slides up on the Sydney Comics Guild later.
Oh, okay.
Introduction. Hello there. I am Mary, and I'm actually a musician primarily. That's what I do for a living. I sing geeky songs, and I also very much love art, and I am one of those aspiring comic artist humans that's trying to make comic art and get better at it, and that's why I'm a part of Sydney Comics Guild. And I've been streaming on Twitch for 6 months now, a little over 6 months at this point, and that's my setup. So I have probably about, well, that's my old setup, I've upgraded it, but I have about maybe 1.5 meters squared to stream in. It's actually a very, very tiny space, but I'm still able to make streaming work. So if I can do it, you can do it. And why streaming? Well, there's a huge myriad of reasons why, but I think one of the primary reasons why is because I think it's one of the best ways to connect with people. A lot of the time with social media, the social aspect comes second. You're mostly just kind of throwing content at people, if that makes sense. Whereas with live streaming, you get an actual connection. And connections from the back and forth, from them seeing the real you. You're not putting on a facade. It's impossible to keep up a facade for multiple hours of streaming. They're seeing your entire process if you're an artist. And I think that creates a real genuine connection. And that in turn leads, I think, to a better community and then success in terms of finding your audience as well. Another really good reason to start streaming now is it's relatively new, which means there isn't as much saturation in the space. And I think that is a really good reason to start as soon as possible, because the saturation will come when people realize how effective it is. And it genuinely is very effective. So different outlets. There are different channels. Twitch is my recommendation most of the time. YouTube Live, I believe, can work very well if you have a YouTube audience. This would require you to either already have millions of people following you, or for you to create really large numbers of people following you. But as you may have noticed, if you have tried sharing your things on the internet before, especially on YouTube, you put your heart and soul into a video, you put it up, and you get 7 views, and you look at it and go, what did I do wrong? And you didn't do anything wrong, it's just your video of how to draw an eye is one of 10 billion videos that exist on how to draw an eye. So I think Twitch is good if you do not have that big following yet on YouTube. Facebook Live is the other big one. I'll go into that later. There's also Instagram Live, Periscope on Twitter, so that's an actual other option. Periscope's kind of migrated onto there. There's also some obscure new networks around that exist as well. Woo. I would recommend not to get too invested in obscure networks unless you can guarantee that they're going to be stable, because I have met people on Twitch that have come on and said I had 100,000 followers on X network and it shut down unexpectedly. So that does happen. I would stick with the main players for a safety reason, unless there is a very good reason to go elsewhere, or alternatively work on multiple. So main ones, Twitch. It's focused on live streaming. That is what they do. They've introduced now videos as well, but live streaming is where it starts, if that makes sense. That's where they come from. The length expectation on Twitch is long. So when people go to watch a stream on Twitch, they're usually expecting between 3 to 6 hours. And that's like, oh my god, that's a long time, right? But when you're thinking about making an artwork, it takes you about that long, right? So I think it's actually very well suited to art making specifically. There are many monetization options that already exist, that already work. including tips, which is literally people can give you donations on PayPal. Cheers, which is an inbuilt function where people can do the equivalent, donating to you, except using Twitch's version of emojis that animate, and they give you money as well. There's subscriptions, which is similar to Patreon in the sense that people can subscribe to your channel and give you recurring income. And there's more avenues if you get to the point where you're a partner with Twitch, which is when you graduate up the various ranks. The audience is mostly gaming at the moment. There's not too much competition in art, but also there isn't as much of a viewership yet. Hey, feel free to come join. So at the moment there's about 60,000 viewers in Australian-friendly time on the creative and IRL categories, which are the ones that you would be streaming on. So you need to pick a category when you stream, and those are the most suited categories. I would recommend going with creative, even though it's smaller, but 60,000 viewers at any one time is not too bad when you consider that you're not competing in the sense that there's not thousands of people streaming in that category. If there was thousands of people, you'd be like happy to get 6 viewers, but there's less usually streaming at the time. But yes, that's the main ones, and it's constantly growing is the other thing. YouTube is focused on short form video content. Live streaming is relatively new, but they are investing a lot of money into their live streaming applications, which is why I don't think you should write off YouTube. I think it could still be very good for live streaming. There's a lot of investment going there, but the length expectation is significantly shorter. People on YouTube have a significantly shorter attention span for obvious reasons. Live streams are competing with short videos. So when your video is displaying live, there's little links on the side to other clickbaity videos that they could click on at any moment if you get boring. So monetization is apparently coming.
Don't get boring.
Yeah, don't get boring. It's apparently coming, but bear in mind recent monetization dramas. So if you had a small channel on YouTube, you may have recently been demonetized. They often do that with people that do content that's also not advertiser friendly as well. Feel free to come join. So YouTube is still, I think, a very good place, and I think honestly that you should be fostering a community in YouTube as well, even if you pursue Twitch. Probably through short form video content though. So the audience is massive. That is why there is a massive pool. There's a huge amount of competition in art and big established players. Some audience members, however, will unsubscribe from you specifically because you started live streaming. Because there are some people that hate that notification and they just don't like it. There are some people that don't like seeing them in their stream when they go to subscribe, people they're subscribed to. The live streams come up at the top and you're like, oh, I just want to see the videos or whatever. And there are people that will unsubscribe for that reason. Facebook is focused on sucking money out of everybody. The length expectation, people, if you live stream on Facebook, honestly, people will go on for a couple of minutes and leave. That's the attention span you're dealing with here. Monetization, you're kidding. They're probably going to charge you money. They're Facebook. They have the widest audience, but although there's not too much competition in art, there's a reason why. The algorithm is favoring what Facebook is actually designed for, which is more a social interaction on a social level and less on a creative level, if that makes sense. You're seeing a lot more about politics, people whinging, babies, clickbait, furry animals, etc. And I mean, that's what Facebook does, so that's fair enough. You just got to bear in mind, I personally have the bias of believing that Facebook is very likely trying to get people to create pages so that they can get money off them as opposed to actually helping them promote themselves. So you can do Facebook Live. If your audience is there, again, just like with YouTube, if you got a big audience, they're not going to show it to everyone in your audience because you have to pay for that, but it might work for you. I would say if you're doing Facebook, you should do stuff that's more native to the Facebook platform and stuff that suits people that are on there. Things that relate to the reason they're on there, things that relate to that sort of stuff. Because, I mean, it's just like going to a fruit market and trying to sell art. People are there for fruit, you know what I mean? So it's not that they're, well, I do think they're kind of evil, but like at the same time, I just don't think it's the best platform for what you guys are doing. What do I recommend? If you have a big audience on YouTube, you could live stream on YouTube. This could further engage your audience, and monetization features are coming. YouTube does have the widest reach in video content at the moment. And if you're already doing well on there, this could work wonders regarding engagement. You'll need to keep drawing your audience with your regular videos though. So you'll have to keep doing short form videos. And that will probably still be your bread and butter on YouTube, if that makes sense. So you can live stream on top of that. So YouTube, I think, is a good option for people that have a big audience that will continue doing short form videos and will do a live stream every now and then. I think that's what you're going to do, unless you're MatPat or something and you've got this massive audience that will lap up anything you throw at them. If you live stream on YouTube, turn notifications off. I have spoken to people who have literally cried about losing hundreds of subscribers because they did a live stream and people saw the notification and unsubscribed. So turn notifications off. That is an option. Use that. In most cases though, honestly, I would recommend Twitch. You're not invisible from the get-go. They've actually got a really, really good support team. The channel is building and it's not likely to die down. Like, it's likely to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It has Amazon owning it. And Amazon is the richest company in the world. They're not going to die. So that's stable. Even small channels still generate income. Whereas YouTube, if you're a small channel, it's not going to happen, right? You have to be getting, I think it was 4,000 hours before you even qualify to be a YouTube partner. And then when you become a YouTube partner, you can get really excited when you get your $100 check at the end of the month where you had 1 billion views, right? I mean, that's not the way to make money off YouTube in general anyway, but not for what we do. But at least with Twitch, even if you're just starting out, someone could come by, really love what you're doing and tip you. And you could make that income. Many YouTubers have actually chosen to separate their live streaming and do it on Twitch as well. So say Draw with Jazza has Twitch streams and a YouTube channel. He is massive. He has the choice of doing that top one because he has a big audience on YouTube. But he's gone, no, I'm going to keep my live streaming to Twitch because that's the channel where people go for live streaming and because they have the infrastructure to support live streaming. So if I was going to be completely, just my personal opinion is that everyone should be starting on Twitch right now. I think it's the better option unless you've got a big YouTube audience. And even then, consider Twitch as your option. Yep.
But when you say post regularly, how regularly do you mean, like once a week? Or
With Twitch or with YouTube?
With YouTube.
With YouTube, well, this is a live streaming thing, but I would strongly suggest, if possible, the best thing for the algorithm on YouTube at the moment, according to the data I've seen at VidCon, is to post daily with videos between 10 to 13 minutes. It's insane, but that's apparently the best thing algorithmically for YouTube. Supposedly.
Yeah.
I'm a musician. I saw that and I went, ha ha ha, 13-minute music video every day, not happening. But at the same time, that's algorithmically the best thing you can do. So if you're an artist and you're capable of doing that, it might work out well for you. Hey guys.
Hi, sorry, light rail's dreadful.
It's all good. But if I was to give my advice, that would be my honest advice. With streaming, I would do it regularly as well. So on Twitch, I stream 4 days a week. I would recommend doing longer streams if you can, is better than more frequent streams. So if you're able to do a 6-hour stream 3 times a week, that's better than a 1-hour stream every day, if that makes sense. So the more you're online when you're streaming live, the more visible you are, because you're invisible if you're not streaming. So you have to be streaming quite a bit. But every time you go live, it sends out a notification. So if you do it frequently, some people might get annoyed by the notifications. That would be my recommendation. Again, I'm a singer, so I can't stream for 6 hours. I won't have a voice at the end of it. Or I can do it every now and then, but then, you know, the next day I need to take a break and just like literally lie in bed, cathartic. So it's, as an artist, you have that option though. So this is a funny graphic I saw on Twitter, which I thought I would share, which is a lot of people seem to be moving from YouTube to Twitch at the moment because of the demonetization and because Twitch is introducing videos. So I thought it was hilarious and I thought I would share that.
Yeah, YouTube's demonetization.
Yeah,
But
well,
what
we
is
won't go
really-
too far into that because we could do an entire presentation on how to do it.
because they're now archiving videos on Twitch? Like now you
You can already do that. Like they always had the ability to watch back videos, but they would disappear after a certain period of time unless you highlight them or download them, and then you can repost them on YouTube or something else if you download them. Okay, let's get into how to start, because it's all wonderful, but there's actually a really large amount of pre-set up stuff you need to do. I'm currently streaming on my phone, which is great for this, but if you want to actually stream your art properly and grow an audience, this is going to be a pretty low quality stream. So I apologize to everyone that's watching the live stream, but
It should have been here. So.
yeah, if you can
Too
come,
bad.
it's a lot better to come in person. But I would recommend don't stream on a phone or tablet. Just, you can't get the same quality of stream that you can get if you set it up properly with the equipment I'm going to go through now. And although there isn't as much competition on Twitch, you don't want to be the shitty one, right? You know what I mean? You want to be presenting something worthwhile, if for no other reason, for your own audience. You want them to appreciate the effort you're putting in, and you want to be appreciating them spending their time with you. So I would highly recommend going through this list of equipment. First one. Can anyone tell me what this is?
Laptop, red button.
It's a computer. Yep.
A computer?
Your computer! The more powerful, the better. This is your most expensive piece of equipment, and arguably your most important. The really strange thing about it is that people often forget that their computer is the most important centerpiece. It's not as sexy as, like, say, getting lights and flashy things and webcams, but it's very, very important. Especially if you want to do things besides streaming, which, say, if you want to stream digital art, if you want to put lights up, if you want to have multiple cameras, suddenly the strength of your computer becomes critically important. And it can overheat. If you got a laptop, it can overheat. You might need a cooling pad. So the stronger your computer, the more you're able to do, basically. One of the most common donation goals on Twitch is for people to buy new computers to stream, because it enables them to do more with it. It's weirdly overlooked. So especially look into the graphics card because you're doing art. The processor and RAM, they're the ones I'd look mostly into if you're looking for numbers. So you're not looking as much into like how much space is in the hard drive or whatever, though that's always good. It's more like how quickly it can process everything for you. The ultimate computer. So for each of these equipment categories, I put out the ultimate. If you can get a gaming laptop or desktop, get a gaming laptop or desktop. Beyond the fact that it will give you the best head start, you might actually want to stream games on Twitch. Again, right now that's what it's primarily used for, and you can really expand your audience by doing that and making friends with other gamers. And I know a bunch of people in the Comics Guild that also quite like games, so it's not going to be that painful. If you don't like games, that's fine. You can actually stream without ever streaming a game. That's cool. But it's good to have that option as well. In general, though, the gaming laptops are the most powerful when it comes to graphics and streaming. That's how they're built, because people that game want good graphics and they want the ability to stream. So that's how they've been built nowadays.
In terms of cost, how much more would you pay for a gaming laptop compared to a top-end normal?
A top-end normal one which has all the things you need is fine as well. But I would say if you want the absolute cream of the crop, 5K is actually not like there are laptops that are about $5,000. But if you just want something that'll work well, you can consider getting a tower. They're cheaper. You can consider getting a MetaBox, which is what I was going to recommend next. A MetaBox is an Australian company. They made Patrick's gaming laptop, and it's VR compatible. And that was, how much was it, Patrick? It was like 3K or something?
Yeah, you can choose the different bits and pieces you want on it. So you can get in touch with them, and they will, if you say, I want to do Twitch streaming, this is what I'm thinking of doing, they'll step-by-step get through everything, like, oh, you should probably get this, and you won't need this. And so they'll actually be helpful. And it ends up, I'm looking at their site now, it's about 1.5K or beyond. So you also know what you do. So if you're somebody who's doing a lot of art, and your art takes up a lot of space on your computer, you could be like, can I get, 3 terabyte hard drive? And most places won't have that, but because you go to them, they can custom put in a really good hard drive for you, so okay, I'm going to do my Twitch streaming, and I don't have to worry that I'm going to run out of space, and things like that.
But say Patrick got a 5K MSI laptop and traded it in for his 3K metabox because the other one was better. So it's cheaper and better.
Yeah.
And it's an Australian company, which is part of the reason it's cheaper. So if you want help, they also help as well. And it's a lot easier to get help than with MSI. We had to go to the local factory where they sent it back and it was problematic. So
What do you think about the cost of Apple computers?
Apple computers are fine. I know a bunch of people that stream on them, and I know that they're built very well. They're built with good specs. You should be fine with an Apple computer, I think, as long as you get one of the more powerful of their range. So
I have a Pro, so
yeah, it's all about the RAM and processor and graphics card. If you've got good ones of those, you're set. If you can get a gaming laptop, it will still be better, but I think you'd be fine with an Apple computer because I know a bunch of streamers use them.
Yeah, there are a bunch of these like PC tower boxes, but they're very small, thin. We've actually got laptop components that you can't operate them very well, but they're about $1,000 or less.
It's all about the graphics card, RAM. If it's got those, it's not about how much it costs. It's about what it can do. That's the most important thing. But I'm saying, with the 5,000, what I said, it's not impossible to get a 5,000 laptop, like $5,000 laptop. If you pay $5,000 for a laptop and you get it, say, at Metabox, you will get the biggest beast of a computer. It can literally eat worlds. So that's what I'm saying is like probably the top price point, but you can get away with cheaper than that. And your laptop at the moment might actually be fine. Like if you look into the specs of it, it might actually be fine already. My laptop, which was a Surface, was not good enough. I had to switch. So some people like me might have bought laptops that are not actually strong enough, and then it's more of a problem.
My thing as well is Mr. Babali on Twitch said that he'd go with a tower instead of a laptop. And I think he makes a good point, which we didn't mention, which is that if you think you're never going to move from your spot, if you're going to be always in the one place every time you stream, then you could get a tower.
Yeah.
But if you think there's any chance whatsoever that you're going to want a laptop stream from a different place, if you're traveling to a con or something and you want to stream from a convention, which could be hard with the internet, because a lot of the time the internet's crap there, then consider getting a laptop or phone.
If you can do a tower, it's cheaper. It's less likely to overheat. The reason I would do a laptop is if you travel a lot. Say, for me, I'm always looking at laptops because, you know, Patrick and I were interstate half the time. So for me, it's kind of like, well, unless I just want to stream half the time, I need a laptop. But yeah, a tower, I agree. Even if it's just because it's cheaper. Because all of us are trying to save money for art supplies and comics. Okay, webcam. So that's a very fancy one, obviously. I put the fanciest ones as the images just to tease all of us. Your webcam and a stand for it. Get an external webcam. Feel free to come in. Hey, feel free to take a seat. But don't use the one on your laptop. I made that mistake. Get an external one, especially because you're doing art. You want to face it in certain angles. At some point, you might want to show someone something specifically with your artwork, then you just move the camera, show them, and then move it back. So the basic thing is get an external one, especially important for artists. I highly recommend the Logitech C922 Pro Stream webcam. That's the one I use. It's pretty good. The Logitech C920 is just as good. They're both pretty good. They both cost the same amount. You can get them. They're available. Both of those are fantastic. If you want to go high-end for the ultimate webcam, if you're going to get very, very serious about it, and there are streamers that do this, and they get the best quality visuals in their streams, is get a fancy DSLR camera. It could be something like a Sony a6000, but whatever camera, most of them you can use with Camlink, and then that will enable you to be able to stream with it. Use it on manual focus if you've got a DSLR, because anyone that's worked with DSLRs before will know autofocus can do the wrong thing at times, and specifically with streaming, people are used to webcams, so if you're suddenly getting weird focus issues, I think it will really throw people off. But many people level up their streams by using multiple. this is very effective, regardless of whether you have one layout which has, a different thing at the top showing your face and a bigger thing showing the art you're making, or if you have something where you've got that and then you press a button and it switches to the art, you press a button, it switches to your face. Regardless of whether you use multiple webcams, multiple angles, or you do both, you do 2 multicam layouts, whatever you want to do, it's up to you to get creative with it. A lot of people do this, but start by mastering one camera first. At least do some streams with one camera first. And then you can add other cameras, because an extra cam that's dead, like an extra part of your screen, which is showing a different angle, but nothing is happening, is literally just a dead part of your screen. And you don't want that, because that's a waste of space you could be using for something better, and it's pretty ugly if it's not practical.
I've got a really old video setup. It's like from 6 years ago. Would that work if I stream?
Look up its specs. I don't know, because I don't yet stream with a DSLR, but if Camlink works with it, then you're fine.
Yeah, it's just like caving or something.
So, next one is audio. Your audio plus a stand for it. A lot of the time you forget the stands until you start streaming and you're like, oh, yeah, that's right, I need to put this on something. But this is the most neglected piece of technology, by far, is the audio. And it's actually critical, because a lot of people will watch your art stream, but then they'll go off and do something else, because no one's going to sit there. I know you think that they're there the whole time. When you're streaming, you kind of got the illusion that they're sitting watching you, but what happens most of the time is people will do other things. They'll have it on in background, they'll come back. A lot of them watch Twitch streams while working, and your background music will become important here, but also at the same time, you need good audio, because if you're crackling, if you're sounding horrible, they're not going to have you on in the background, they're going to leave. And it's also, on top of that, have you ever watched a stream before of anything, or a video for that matter on YouTube, one of those wonderful instructional videos, for example, that has just god-awful audio that crackles? Is it painful? It's painful. Would you watch it for 6 hours? You would not watch it for 6 hours, that's why. A good start is a quality USB microphone. They're very easy to use. You can just plug them into your computer. The Blue Snowball mic is not too bad. There's a cheaper Ice version. A Blue Yeti is better, but they're relatively good. I think they should actually be adequate for what you guys do as an artist. But you can level up further than that. I would actually say this should be fine, especially if you're starting out. But if you're talking ultimate audio, if you want like really high quality, it's actually not too far out of people's budget ranges to get an audio interface and a condenser microphone. That sounds like a lot of big words to people that are new to these things, but it's just a thing that you plug your microphone into, and then you've got your microphone. And that can actually give you much, much better quality audio. You can also add effects to it. You can add reverb to your voice so it's not dry, and that'll make it easier to listen to as well. You can meddle with the settings for that as well. So if you have a particularly squeaky voice, you can turn down the high frequency a little bit, and that can actually really help with keeping people listening too. So that's, I think, if you're going to go with the ultimate of any section, this one's probably a good one to consider, because it's not too expensive, comparatively speaking. And if you wanted to, you could have sound effects and things, and you could use them with your audio interface too. So you could get like a little one of those DJ things which have buttons, and you could put like a fart noise on one and like a woohoo applause noise on another, and you could do that if you wanted to as part of your streams, and that again wouldn't be like breaking the bank. Next is headphones. This is the part where most people actually go crazy. So they should go crazy on like their audio or their laptop, but they go crazy with headphones. There's two main approaches I've seen. Over-ear headphones, which are the ones you see with big caps, go over your ears. That's very good for comfort. I would say use wired. Do not use wireless. Wireless sounds like it will be a great idea, but Bluetooth causes issues, especially if you're using the Bluetooth on your phone or your laptop, because your laptop's already busy with something else, and it does cause issues. Use wired. If you've got a wireless headphone set that can also be used wired, that's fine, then just use it wired. I recommend Audio-Technica. They're pretty good for the price that you're paying, like as monitor headphones, because that's what they're for. You hear what you're broadcasting. They don't sound as incredible if you're just listening to music casually, but you're hearing exactly what's coming out of people's laptop speakers, right? And that's what you want. You want good monitor headphones. So I put 2 models there. One of them's $90 at JB Hi-Fi and is probably adequate. There's one that's $250 if you want to go better. There's also in-ear headphones with wires clipped behind you on your clothes for it to be more discreet. This is what I personally do. It's critical if you want to wear hats, hoodies, if you want headbands, or if you want to put any effort into your hair whatsoever. And I also think it looks more natural, personally. It looks less like the typical Twitch gamer people, which wear the headsets. So I think it's good for that option. And you can get an Audio-Technica clip-on set for $130 at JB Hi-Fi, and they're pretty good. If you want to go ultimate, and this is probably one of the last things I would go ultimate with, though it appears to be the first thing most people go for, because I think having fancy headphones is pretty good in life in general, you know what I mean? But then the Bossy Quiet Comfort 35 wireless, they're fantastic. Just use it wired. And a really, really great ear headphone is the Shure sound isolating earphones range. They're absolutely fantastic. They can get up to like $1,000, but you can get them in clear, and it can basically look like you're not wearing headphones, which is really awesome, and you'll get like the highest quality monitoring. Sound cancellation and crystal clear accuracy may be worth the price, because you're hearing exactly what you're broadcasting. And if you're broadcasting for like 6 hours, if you've got good quality headphones that you're listening to your background music and everything in, that also makes it less painful for you as a broadcaster. But it's probably the last thing I'd level up if you're on a budget, because it doesn't impact people as much. As long as you got the ability to hear exactly what's coming out, you're fine, if that makes sense. Then, ta-da, lights! Especially if you're working in traditional mediums. So if you're drawing, you want your art to be seen super clearly. Hey, feel free to come join. Hey, feel free to just grab a seat.
Hello.
Oh, wait till that.
How do you do? Hello, how are you? Hi, how are you?
So, we're currently going through equipment lists. I'll quickly go back through them if you're... I'll quickly go back through them if you're late, but I won't go through too much detail.
One question as well, which is a good question on
Yep.
Twitch, was for good equipment, how much is it going to cost in total?
I will get to that. I've got a slide on that. So for those who've just arrived, I'll just quickly talk you through the equipment I've gone through, because it's pretty important, though you can look at the slides and things later online. You're going to need a computer, and that's going to be your main kind of heart of everything. You're going to need a webcam. You're going to need audio, and that's, I would say, the most critical part of it. Headphones, and we're just up to lights at the moment. Okay. So with lighting, again, especially if you're working in a traditional medium, you want good lights so that it looks good. Because with digital, it's always going to look clear. With traditional, if you haven't got it well lit, or if you got it too well lit, it's going to look pretty terrible. If you're mostly showing yourself, your face, then you mostly just don't want that to be grainy, because, you know, that looks pretty bad. Usually just having the lights in the room on is enough if you're just showing your face, because most of the time as an artist, you're probably going to be showing your face in the corner. It's not going to be the main thing. But if you're showing your face and lights, then obviously pay more attention to the lights. Sorry, your face and art, then obviously pay more attention to the lights. If you want to get serious about lighting, softbox lighting is actually not as expensive as you think. If you go on eBay, you can get like a set of 2 softbox lights with the impressive looking all of this for about $50. Well, that one's the more fancy version, but you can get something similar to that on eBay for $50, and that will give you incredible lighting. You can also get a lamp, a pre-existing lamp, as long as it's a cool light, not a warm light, and just put like a white sort of cloth around it. It's basically a softbox. That's all they're really doing. So you can do that too. If you want like a really fancy one, you can go to Camera Warehouse, and it's $200. But I mean, just get the one off eBay and save $150. put it towards something else, I reckon, personally. Lighting can also create mood. So many streamers use fairy lights and quirky lamps, and they're very, very effective on screen. So usually things like figurines and stuff look really good in real life. When you go to shows and things like live performances, or if you go to an art gallery, like at a live gallery, something like this looks wonderful. But on stream, if you want something that really pops, lights look amazing on video. So if you've got some really cool lights, then they're really fantastic. I don't have really cool lights in my setup, and I'm really jealous of the people that do. Just putting that out there. But if you've got cool lights, I'd recommend it. Then this, you probably have no idea what this is. I'm just going to go through other things next, outside of the realm of the main ones. So other incidental costs. A headphone lead extension cord might be needed depending on how long your lead is coming out of your headphones. I've actually got an headphone extension cord. They're relatively cheap. They give you a lot more freedom. And I'm in only like this tiny little space, so headphone leads that come with your headphones can actually be really short if they're only intended for people who listen to music on their phone or something. You might need a 3.5mm to 6.35 converter if you're using the audio interface setup for audio. You'll need more stands if there aren't natural places on your art table to put things. And you can get really good stands like the one that's holding the phone that Patrick is streaming with right now. They're relatively adjustable, and you can get things that are more fancy than that if you'd want to. You might want to get a laptop cooling pad. I recommend Cooler Master. No point spending money on a pad that doesn't actually cool, and there are plenty of those, which is really weird. But yeah, and you might want to get a laptop stand if you want to place your laptop higher. You could also use a laptop stand to have more space underneath to put art supplies, for example, that you don't really want seen on stream. So that's always an option. These are just incidental costs. You might also buy props for your stream. I, for example, wear different hats all the time in my stream. That's partially because I have an insanely big novelty hat collection by default anyway, but if you did want to buy something specifically, you could do that too. The ultimate schmancy is like if you want to go next level stuff, then a green screen. So you can both stream with exciting backgrounds if you put it behind you. For example, you could be making art in space. You could really put anything behind you. And you can record film segments that pop up overlaying your streams. For example, if you wanted to, you could get like, paintbrushes and like dance around or something, and then whenever someone subscribes, dancing you could like come across the stream and then disappear as like a little fun extra, and that could incentivize people to subscribe. So don't spend money on a green screen unless you have good lighting and the space to use it. A green screen is not going to be worth much to you if you're in a tiny space. It's just not going to work very well for you. If you're trying to film segments or stream and you haven't got good lighting, there'll be shadows on the green screen and it won't translate well. It will have all those little pixely bits that look terrible, and you'll throw your green screen out and be like, oh, it's a piece of junk. It's not. It's just you need to have the lighting and you need to have the space so that it works. You can get a button pad as well, which is what this thing was, that triggers animations on your screen and switches between scenes easily. You can have multiple scenes in your layout, you can switch camera angles, you can bring up animations, you can do all sorts of things, and you can do those anyway, but there's that awkward leaning over to the mouse and clicking it and coming back, which you can avoid if you've got a button pad, and you can even have it out of sight, and they come up like magic, and people just look at it like it's a TV show that's fully, produced and everything, because it looks so smooth. And there are people that do that, and it looks really, really good. But again, get the basic setup right first. This is $200 at JB Hi-Fi. It's not even that expensive. So, but obviously, it's the actual scenes and animations themselves you have to make really good. Otherwise, triggering crappy scenes and crappy animations is not going to be very good for you. So this is, I'm a broke. So, if you're starting streaming now and you're a broke, I understand you. I feel your pain. These all things, you look at those numbers there and you go, holy shiz, and this is added up to a bazillion dollars, my head is exploding, right? Some of you might be thinking that, right? Start streaming with your laptop, whatever earphones you have. for monitoring, and these are the things I would invest in. First of all, an external webcam, because you're doing art. You can't face your laptop webcam all the way down, otherwise you're typing like this, and get an external webcam. And the most important thing is your audio, so invest in a snowball mic. Even the cheap one is far, far better than using the audio that comes with your laptop. That is the first thing I'd invest in, and that's $136. To people that are complaining about $136, it will cost you a lot more to start on YouTube. So it's not that bad. Then you can set a donation goal, right? And you can do this on Twitch. You can be like, I'm hoping to upgrade my webcam, but I need $130 to do this. Set a donation goal for $130. At first, when you start streaming, maybe you'll have 10, 15 people watching you, and every few streams, someone will drop $10. In a couple of weeks, you'll be halfway there. In a couple of months, you'll definitely have your new webcam. And as you grow, you can set higher donation goals and you can gain more through that. Also, I'm assuming most of you guys are working on the side and you can save money for things too. Or you're working on your art. Every time you sell an artwork, you can use that money to invest in your stream. Whatever you want to do, but you can start with that setup and level up. When I started, I was streaming with my laptop, which can't stream properly, on my home internet, which is upload speed of less than a megabyte per second, using the webcam that came with it, and the audio that came with it. It was awful. It was like torturous. I have no idea how people went through and watched that, and I feel so sorry to them. Like I feel like I've put them through like Chinese torture. But people still support you for you, and that's fantastic, and you can slowly upgrade. So you don't have to start off with, boss system if you don't have the income for it. You can work your way up there. So what's my setup? This is what I'm doing at the moment. I'm borrowing Patrick's computer because I do not have a powerful enough computer, and I have a donation goal, which is to get a better setup in general, including the computer. I use the Logitech C922 Pro Stream webcam, as I mentioned before. The C920 is pretty much the same. It's a slightly older model, but they have very similar qualities in terms of output. I use an Audio-Technica AT2035 condenser mic, which is the one I recommended to you guys. It's really high quality mic for the price. It's really doing a fantastic job. And I've got that going through an audio interface, which is a bit fancier because I play guitar and sing, which means I need extra plugs for the guitar, but that's really the only extra upgrade to the one I recommended to you guys. Otherwise, it's very much the same thing. I'm also borrowing Patrick's earphones as well. So my ones are wonky because I got the ones that were on discount in the shop because it was the last model and it was the display. Turns out it looks horrendous and I shouldn't use that on stream. But as you see, my setup is not like I'm living in a castle of riches. My setup actually wouldn't exist without Patrick because Patrick helped me get the other two things. So in general, this one I believe was this one was a Christmas present. And the other one was a present from Patrick as well. So in general, my setup was shocking and it built up over time. So don't freak out and go, oh God, I don't have money for any of this. It's all right. The internet. This is the other one people freak out about in Australia. Yes, the internet is abysmal. Halp. It is. I agree. It's terrible. The settings in your streaming software, which is going to be OBS Studio, can be set to stream at a lower bitrate. I recommend under 2000. I was streaming at 200 when I was using my original Wi-Fi at home, because again, it didn't get to 1 megabyte per second upload speed. I'm in a very bad area. I doubt anyone would be in as bad of an area as that. No one I know has been in as bad of an area as that. And 200 is pretty shocking, but it worked. Yeah?
I think mine's 0.5.
Oh, wow!
Yeah.
You win. You
Thank
win.
you.
But I would recommend going for the second option for you. But the first one is you can go lower bitrate and lower resolution, and that works. You can fill your screen with things that are not your webcam as well. And that can be easier for the stream to process too. But if you're saying, trust me, it's not going to work, my internet is a potato, again, I feel you. And this is what I would say to do. You may have to use phone data. And before you go, there is no company that can provide any more than 10 gigabytes, which by the way is really bad in Australia. There is one. It's called OVO. And that's what I use. If you're going to take your streaming seriously, use an old phone, get their $60 per month plan. This is if you're taking it seriously. $60 per month, you can kind of get that back. I've actually got 2 phones, and I'm on the highest plan for both of them because I stream like a maniac. But you can get that plan, and that plan should be adequate for streaming a few times a week. And you can see if you like it, if you're making the income back to go on a higher plan, you could also go on a higher plan that way. And $60 per month, you also get that data to use whenever you want as well. And it's been very useful when I've been trying to upload to YouTube and I'm like, it's going to take 10 hours to upload and I don't want to go to the library. Okay, I'm just going to use like a couple of gigabytes of my data. So it's actually pretty good. 100 gigabytes will get you enough. One stream in general, and I do like 3-hour streams, is maybe 2 or 3 gigabytes at most. So you'll get a lot for that.
How does it work? You stream on your laptop and then use the phone to upload it?
I tether my internet. So that's, there's a setting for tethering. You go to the settings section, then let me check because it's written in here. I can tell you exactly.
So you're saying like using the phone's internet?
You hotspot it, don't you?
No, I tether it. So I attach it because it's better if you attach it than if you hotspot. Then you click on settings. There's something that says, I don't actually use this phone for it because I use an old phone. So I'm not sure.
It'll be different on every phone anyways.
Yeah, connected devices or network and internet. And then you click turn on tethering. In general, if you can't figure that out, you can Google it. It's a very common thing people do when they go work in cafes or something. They just plug their phone in and tether the internet.
Plugging it in via USB is a lot faster.
Yeah, if you're hotspotting, then it'll be lower speeds. So tethering is better. Software and programs. So now you've got the physical equipment. And again, I will say at the end that it might seem very overwhelming, but it's a lot of it's set up and then you can just kind of maintain it or upgrade it when you feel like you want to. So don't get too overwhelmed because most of this you'll only have to look at once and then you're fine. I can't even remember the time I looked into webcams because it's gone now and I have it and I'm happy with it. So, yeah. Twitch itself. Who would have thunk it? So you go to settings, add a default picture, add a short bio. Keep it very short because your profile will show up when people go into other people's profiles and click following to see who they're following. It'll show a picture which has your default picture and a short bio. You'll only see about a sentence. If you write a paragraph, they'll see the first sentence and then ... and it will be very frustrating because that's the only place you can see it. So keep it short. And then go to channel and videos and upload a video player banner because when you go to your profile, there's this massive block of black in the middle, which is where your streaming video will go. When you're not streaming, it's a massive block of black, and that's pretty ugly. So you can fill it with a video player banner. My image has a short blurb saying what I do and my bio, which I will show you in the next slide. I also say it's a good idea to put down when you're streaming next, like your schedule. So that's the one I've got up. It says my name with my logo. It's got geeky music, songwriting, and chaos, which is a pretty good summary of what I do on Twitch. Then it's got my schedule for the upcoming week and a photo. Then add some panels. So underneath that, you'll have a space to put like about you, rules, etc. Whatever you want to put. You can add a who am I section, links to your social media. I would recommend images as opposed to text because people don't like reading. At least have images as headings. So this is my one. That's what mine looks like. I reverted to doing images instead of text because I was sick of people not reading my writing. So I made it really big writing in comic book font with bold sections so that people were more likely to read it. Not all of them do. They still don't read it because people hate reading. So that's an example of how I do it. And this is if you just want headings. Twitch gives you that as a default font for writing, which is very small, but there are still people that get away with it and do pretty well with it. Now you might have noticed there's extensions in there. That's just an image, but there's extensions in there. I'll show you about how to put those in later. But, yes, next. Moving on. Twitch levels. There are 3 levels in Twitch. The first one is when you start. You're just kind of starting. You don't get anything, you just get to stream. But it's very easy to become an affiliate An affiliate is not something that's too difficult to get to. That allows you to have subscribers and receive cheers. They're 2 income sources. From the very beginning, when you start, you can set up a donation button, and this will add another 2 income sources. So you'll have 3 income sources already by becoming an affiliate. And all you need to become an affiliate is an average concurrent viewership of 3+ people, which means at any one time, around 3+ people are watching you. So get your mum, and get your partner, and get your partner's best friend to watch you. Whatever. It shouldn't be too difficult. And at least 50 followers. 50 is a pretty low threshold. Just ask everyone on your current social media. If you don't have that many people on your current social media, you should be able to get to 50 followers relatively quickly. It's not too bad. 8+ hours broadcast. So that's more, you got to put the time in. And in the last 30 days, and 7 unique broadcasts in the last 30 days. So that one's, I think, the biggest one, to be honest. The 7 unique broadcasts. Once you've done 7 broadcasts, if you've followed the previous instructions and set things up nicely, I think you'll be able to reach the 50 followers. And you would probably reach 8 hours after 7 broadcasts too. So I think the biggest one there is you got to put the time in to do 7 broadcasts. And then you should be able to get affiliate. Affiliate's not too difficult. Partner, on the other hand, is painfully hard to get. Partner is very difficult. That gives you extra emotes, which are just like Twitch's versions of emojis that you can give to your subscribers that they can use, and then they get excited because they get to use custom emojis. And it allows you to monetize ads, which is an extra income source, because there's always ads, and you get the money from them as opposed to Twitch getting the money from them, which is good. You get extra income. Also, if you get enough people subscribe to you as a partner, then your cut of the income goes up as well. So that's much, much further down the track, because partnership, as I mentioned before, is really difficult to get unless you've got a huge fan base already, because you need, and the first one is the hardest one, an average viewership of 75 or more people watching you at any one time. And 75 people watching you is fine if you do a broadcast like once every week or once every month. But if you're doing them every second day, getting people to come back every day is very difficult. You're going to have to build multiple audiences, and they're all going to have to build up to that size. And if you're going for 75+, you're actually looking to get more around the 100 range, because it's an average, and when you first start, you start with 0 viewers, and you build up slowly as you stream. So you're going to have to... It's quite difficult to get, but it's not impossible at all. Many people get it. You also need 25 hours plus broadcast in the last 30 days and 12 unique broadcast days in the last 30 days. So you have to be relatively dedicated to streaming frequently.
And when you said multiple audiences, do you have any advice on how to do it?
Yeah, I'll get into that later. So I'm just going through the software and the equipment at the moment, but I'll get into all that later. OBS Studio, you stream through this, and I would like to point out there are alternatives to the ones I'm going to mention here with the software. These are the most commonly used ones. These are the ones I use, and I personally, as if you were here earlier, you'd understand, I personally stand by using the most common ones in general, unless you know that a less commonly used one is stable, because the scariest thing is building everything up and then having that company collapse and then losing everything.
Oh, sounds like my old webcam. That one.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
So messages pop up said, we no longer see this service, please switch to something like the body tab.
Yeah, and that happens. I remember there was a website a social media site that I invested a lot in that closed down, and I'm sure many of us have had experiences like that. So you get burnt, and then you're like, no, I'm going to stick to the ones that I know will work. This is the one most people use. It's very good. It's free. It allows you to add things to your video, so it's not just a video. That's what it looks like. This was me in a cafe. This is not what my stream usually looks like, but as you can see, there's all these extra things added on the side there. This is a list of events of things that are happening when someone's followed or cheered. This is just a banner on the side because my room is tiny and there's a mess on that side, and I'm trying to hide the fact that my room is about 1 meter big by hiding the cupboard. Then there's a tip jar where whenever anyone tips, little fake money goes in. There's a cat which moves around. It's like a little Tamagotchi pet. And these are my goals. So I've got a donation goal, which is to get the new computer, and a follower goal as well. So all of that was done in OBS Studio. And it's all quite simple to use. I'm actually going to point at things, and I'll skip over the slides and I'll put them up for you guys later. You can look on the Sydney Comics Guild group page and you can go through the individual steps of everything, because I've done how to get started, and you know, little arrows, click on that, then that, then that, but I'll just point for now. Here you create scenes, so this is one scene. I've created a different scene that's literally just a single image that says be right back when I'm going off to the bathroom or something. A single image that says streaming soon. You can create entire other scenes though, different alternate webcam angles. If you're an artist, you might want to have one like this where you're speaking to people, and then switch to another scene where you're doing your art, and then switch back to the first one to speak to people. So you can create multiple scenes. You just click the plus button, name your scene. For example, I've got one that's called Streaming Soon. You can tell what that's going to be about. Then once you go to create a scene and you've created a scene, you've got sources, and you click on that, and that's how you add images or the video or whatever else you want to add. You've got some settings here. The mic setting, spend time on that. Make sure you're not too loud, because people will not watch your stream if you're too loud, because you will hurt their ears and they will leave. Spend time on that. And also, look at the little cogs beside it, because you can change the settings. Like, I could click on the video capture cog and change the saturation. I could make myself look probably quite horrendous by turning the saturation right up. Or if I wanted it to look all sepia and artsy, I could turn the saturation right down. That sort of thing. So you can go in there, and you guys are very visually gifted, and you can create something quite beautiful by doing that. There's also a start streaming button, so you can stream. There's a start recording button, so you can use this as a video recorder as well, which is actually very useful. And then there's settings, which you'll go into a lot more. There's also an exit button, but I think most people click X. It's relatively simple and straightforward. So you're going to want to get your stream key from Twitch, and that's how you link OBS Studio with your Twitch account. Once you've copy-pasted your stream key into the right place in settings, then when you click Start Streaming, it will stream on your Twitch. If you're doing a charity event and you're streaming on a different page, you just paste their stream key in. Keep your stream key very secret though, because you don't want people streaming the wrong thing to your page. Then that's how you add the things to the... The next one is Streamlabs. A lot of what I had on my page was Streamlabs, so those alerts that come up when people follow or subscribe, they all come from Streamlabs. They can create dynamic responses, like GIFs can come up. You can have like a dancing cat GIF when someone subscribes, and you can have like, you know, money raining from the sky all over your stream if someone donates, whatever you want to do really. And that's all done through Streamlabs. It also allows you to set goals, and it keeps track of your stats and donation messages. So if someone donates to you, their donation message comes up and then it disappears, but they wrote you an essay and you didn't get to read it, you can go to Streamlabs and read it. And it's also free, just like the other one, both free. You can pay to have pro features, but they're free in general. So this events list is Streamlabs. This is one of the GIFs that comes up when someone cheers for me. That's Streamlabs. That cup, which has all the things falling into it, that's Streamlabs. This ticker message thing, which is just the names of people and how much they donated, is Streamlabs. Both of these goals are Streamlabs. They're all Streamlabs. And I can click them and drag them anywhere on the screen I want in OBS Studio. So you can have any setup you want. You can have as many as you want of Streamlabs or as few as you want. That's my dashboard. I've purposely picked one where you cannot see revenue because I don't think I'm allowed to broadcast that, but you can see what the messages look like in there. So you can read them if you want. And that's kind of how you set it up as well. It's very straightforward. It's things like title, and then you type the title. Goal amount, then you type the goal amount. You go to settings, you can change the color, you can change the font. It's very straightforward, and if you need to, you can Google tutorial videos, but most of the time I think the interface is straightforward enough that you'll be able to figure out how to change things. Getting started with donations. That's how you can link your Streamlabs account and get donations through Streamlabs, which is how I'd recommend you do it, because that way whenever someone donates, you get a notification coming up saying they donated, rather than them donating and you having no idea that they donated. Because you can do it directly through PayPal, but this way while you're streaming, if someone donates, something comes up saying they donated. A lot of the time they like leaving a message. Usually something like, I love this artwork, or looks like you really need a new webcam, doesn't it? That sort of thing. And that's how you add the fanciness using the Streamlabs. Basically, there's a URL that you copy, and where you click to add an image, you can click to add what's called a browser source, and all you got to do is paste in the URL. It's very easy to do, but I will put these slides up on the Sydney Comic Skill page. So if you want to follow a step-by-step, and you'll do it once or twice and you'll have it memorized. It's very simple. These are the extensions. These come with Streamlabs, so you might have seen like a leaderboard of how many cheers people have done. This is my schedule. There's a whole bunch of different extensions, and you can get those by going to Twitch extensions, then typing in the name of the extension, like schedule, for example, and then you just follow the instructions to configure it, because they've got a little button that says configure. You click on that, and that usually leads to something saying input your schedule or whatever. So there's hundreds of extensions, so you can look through those yourself. Capamon. This is the cute little cat that you saw on my stream. And it's a cute little stream mascot. It doesn't have to be a cat. Mine's a cat. You can get a fox, you can get a dragon, you can get a robot, you can get, I think there was one that looks like death, like a, what are they called? Grim Reaper. Yeah, you can get whatever you want, right? And that's my referral code. If you use that, then I get Capamon kudos, but like, that's Capamon anyway, you can find it either way. And it's free, but you can pay to have different looking mutations of your creatures if you so desire. So I actually paid to get my cat to look the way it does because the default one is white. And I was like, no, it has to be Amber because my name is Mary Amber and I wanted Meowie Amber. So if you have a specific reason or something you really just fell in love with, you can pay for it. It's also not too bad to pay for it because it's very cheap and you get something that looks different to other people's ones. So, and you support the people running it. There it is. So your Capamon says hello to people when they first join chat. It literally waves and goes, hi G-Sharp Piano Bar, because G-Sharp Piano Bar posted for the first time. Then he dances when someone cheers. And you can put all of these in. You can program little things. You've got another waving one. He's also got one where he eats, one where he scratches. So different animations that come with it. And you can also get it to put pictures as well as text to pop up, and you can put GIFs too. So if someone, for example, mentions, that one is when someone mentions Fuzz Puppet, then the Fuzz Puppet image comes up. But if, say, somebody mentions David Tennant, I've got a David Tennant GIF that comes up with him with a little kitten. So you can do whatever you want there. If you want a little mascot, you can make commands. These are really, really easy to make. I think this is one of the easiest user interfaces I've ever seen. You click add, and then it's like a really short list of options, and then it's done. It's very cool. So that's a full getting started. If you're going to use one, then you can follow the list of how to do it. And that's how you add the commands, like when someone types this, do this. That's what a command is. Nightbot. People have different bots. So some of them have custom-made bots. Some of them literally make, say, Mary bot or whatever they want to make. And some people use different bots to Nightbot. If you use Stream Elements, which is an alternative to Streamlabs, that can come with a bot. So Nightbot is the go-to one that I would recommend because it's the one I use, and it's the one a lot of people use. It's very simple. Just make sure you turn off the moderation commands because it's a very harsh moderator. And this one's also free. So it can automatically post things to your chat, which is this bit here, where people are communicating with each other. So you can post your social media links at a given interval, for example, or whatever else you want to post. And create commands. For example, if you're sick of telling people that your pencils are a certain brand, because everybody, for some reason, when you're an artist, always asks you what brand of pencils you use. And you go, Jesus, whatever is nearby, I don't care. But for some reason, people are very fascinated by this. You can create a command that says pencils, and just write it out once, and it's done. And then your moderator can just type that in when someone asks that question, so you don't have to repeat yourself a million times on stream. You can also make fun ones. I've got fun ones like Pac-Man, for example, which is just a Pac-Man ASCII art. Achieves nothing, but people type it in for fun. So for example, someone cheered, my moderator, Heavenly Imaginings, typed TY bits, and it came up with, thank you so much for the bits, you rock Lego blocks. And then here, you've got a new streamer joined, and I wanted to tell everybody on stream, hey, look, this is my friend, they also stream, check out their channel. And the mod Teach Me How to Poop, that's his username, it's a cool username, wrote shout out, SO, the name of the streamer, and it came up with spec out and follow this person at URL. So you can create them that are in a dynamic way, so it can put different people's names in things.
It looks like a lot of these features that you're mentioning are not available on YouTube.
No.
I've never seen
Some of these you can use as plugins, but no. Like OBS Studio, you can use that, and you can have all these overlays on YouTube. I would say there is a different environment on YouTube to Twitch. I'm mostly, the rest of the presentation is geared towards Twitch, because that is my recommendation. If you do stream on a different channel, that's up to you, but I have warned you. With YouTube, there's a different culture. YouTube, honestly, they don't want all this glitzy stuff. People.
A lot of these things are customizable, but YouTube is just very standard.
It's also because a lot of people don't go to the effort on YouTube as well, because more people on Twitch are more established streamers. But say I was at VidCon, which is a YouTube specific event, really. They mentioned Twitch briefly only to slag it off and then continued with YouTube. But the people that did the live streaming talk there said that their viewers, and this was MatPat, and they're pretty like well known, they said that their viewers did not appreciate all the extra things because on YouTube there's a different culture to Twitch. Different audience completely. YouTube, yeah, different world. You can still do the things on YouTube, but I think in general, if I was you, I would invest in Twitch for live streaming, unless you have a huge YouTube audience. But you can add a lot of these things to YouTube. The chat ones, not as much.
Nightbot, it seems to say you got YouTube, but I don't know whether anybody uses it.
I think that, like, Streamlabs as well you can use with YouTube. And I believe you can use Capamon with YouTube. I think a lot of these things you can use with YouTube, but it depends on the culture there.
A lot of people get annoyed on YouTube.
YouTube is very different. Here on Twitch, you'll find when you go to Twitch, people already know how to use these commands. People know that if they type exclamation mark something, they can make the cat dance. People are more accustomed to that, whereas YouTube is full of a lot of people who have accidentally clicked on a live streaming video and didn't know it was a live streaming video, and there's all these new functions and people are writing things and they don't know what's going on and they just wanted an explanation of how to stream your art or whatever they clicked on. So that's why I think with YouTube it's a different world, but unless you've got a big audience on YouTube, then I think Twitch is a better option for now. Or if you build a big audience on YouTube. Anyway, you can still technically use these on there, so it's good to know. But I think with Twitch, you should definitely use these features because they're very well known and people like them, and they're not that difficult to implement. There's another example of Nightbot. This is Nightbot automatically posting in the instructions of how to make the cat dance. And usually, once I post that in, someone else types exclamation mark groove meowie, and then meowie starts grooving. So little things like that can be auto posted at intervals. I get my social media links to come up, a link to my latest album because I'm a musician, that sort of thing. So that's all Nightbot. That's how you create commands in Nightbot. It's similar to Capamon. And I would recommend creating a shout out command because you're going to want to shout out your friends when they are on that also stream. This one is slightly more complicated to do because you have to create an $$to-user. It's very codey language. So I've put a screenshot of my one. So if you want to use it, you can literally copy that and change like the writing before it. And that one will be in the document that I put in the Sydney Comics Guild group. And you can add more commands using these instructions too. It's very, once you start doing it, once you've added your first couple of commands, you'll find it's very simple to do. Discord, and this is kind of like a forum. Yeah? What were you asking?
Discord's really good.
Yeah, Discord's really wonderful.
Everyone's pretty crazy and accustomed to Twitch.
Yeah, it's fantastic if you're on Twitch, because one of the really good things it does is it picks up whether someone is a subscriber or not, which means you can create a subscriber-only section. So as an artist, you don't have to individually email the PDF perk that people get. You know, you might want to give like a PDF of an artwork once a month to people that are subscribed, or whatever you want to do. Then you don't have to individually email them. They can just join up to your Discord and go to the subscriber section and download the PDFs. You can have 100 PDFs in there. You could add a new one every week, every day, whatever you wanted, and it's very simple to do. So it's very good for Twitch. It's also just a very good place in general. It's well made. It's just like a forum. So for example, here you've got the categories, you've got the welcome, the introduction, then I've got like chatter, music, art, whatever. And here you see people post up pictures, people react. You can @tag people, just like in Twitter or Facebook or whatever. You can go @Mary and respond to me if you're in my Discord. So, getting started, this is how you just set one up. And if this is your head right now, that's the next section. If your head goes looking at everything going, holy, just like with the other one with the like, I've got no money. My head be kamoon. I know it's a lot at once. Most of it is very much set it up and leave it though. So you literally go through these instructions. It'll take you a couple of hours to sit at home with this slideshow, opening it up on your computer, and then once it's done, it's done. You don't have to go back to it. You can, and often you will. Often you'll be like, oh, I should create a command for that because I'm sick of saying that over and over again. And you'll go back and you'll create one. But most of it, the back end of it, setting it up, linking it to your Twitch account, you don't have to do that more than once. You just do it once. With the alerts that show up with how many times people cheer you and stuff, you do that once, it's done. It's done. So, rest assured, once you've set everything up, this mind explosion that you had is done. It's in the past, and you can move on and just do your art on stream. If you want to add to it, you can. And once you've added a few commands, like I said, you'll find it's very simple. The instructions are very easy. I'm a non-programmer in general as well, so I don't go there and code it in. Patrick can, but say I could if I wanted to, but this way it's a really user-friendly kind of system. It's like type in your command and you type ! pencils. Type in your output and you type ! my pencils are derwent, stop asking me. And then you type in whether it's a trigger or a keyword and you type in trigger. Because a keyword is anytime someone types pencils, it'll come up. And it's done. So it's a lot easier once you do it. So once you start doing it on your computer, you'll find it a lot easier. And a lot of it is set it up and then leave it. So that if it's still mind kabooming, just know, if you go through these instructions, I've written them out very clearly. Click the plus button in the left-hand side strip to create your Discord server. Click on the drop-down beside your server's name. Server settings. Upload an image. It'll all be very straightforward. And most of it you only have to do once. Digital assets is the next thing. And these are just like images you'd want to pre-prepare before you start. Or you could prepare them later, but if you pre-prepare them, then they'll be good to go and you don't have to worry about it. For your Twitch page, for your actual profile, you'll need a default picture. Make sure it's in color. Most of you guys would already have a default picture from Facebook or whatever. Just make sure it's in color, because on the side panel when people are streaming, they're in black and white when they're offline, and they're in color when they're online. So if your picture's black and white, people won't know when you're online. And I know a bunch of streamers that still have black and white photos, and I've missed their streams because I thought they were offline. You still get notifications on your phone and things, but you want to be visible, right? And it's simple enough. You can just put like a pink heart in the corner, whatever you want to, just as long as there's some color to indicate. Then your video player poster, the one that I showed you before, just because there's a big black screen on your profile otherwise, and that's horrendous. And info panels, headings. Headings are easier, so maybe start with headings. So these are mine. That's my default picture. I use that everywhere. I didn't really have to do much there. That's the video image that I do. You can do something simpler. Some people literally just have like a photo of their art supplies. then I think it's a good idea to write something like what you do, because there's no other, I guess, thing at the top of the page where people can see that. They have to scroll down and then they hate reading. So, and these are panels. You can just create headings if you want for starters, or you can create full panels like that. I've seen both done effectively. So that's for your Twitch. For your stream, any overlays or borders or images you want to use, that's up to you. Some people have a grid and then they put like different videos all throughout the grid. Some people have something on the side like me. It's up to you whether you want like a strip at the bottom that has all your notifications, then you can have like a colored strip at the bottom if you so desire. Any GIFs you want in your alerts. Some people don't have GIFs. If you want GIFs, then you can make GIFs. If you don't want GIFs, then you don't have to make GIFs. If you're okay with copyright infringement, you can use pre-existing GIFs. It's up to you. A be back soon and a streaming soon video still, I would recommend having those as well, because you want to do a streaming soon for a few minutes before you start streaming, ideally, because people take a little while to trickle in. And if you're doing announcements at the start of your stream, it's annoying having to do them 20 times because people are trickling in. And be back soon because everyone needs to go to the toilet and you need something up there while you go to the toilet. And emotes, this is once you become an affiliate, but you need 3 emotes. And people have taken time with their emotes. Some people become affiliate and they still don't have an emote for multiple months because they're taking their time with it. But I think they're relatively simple to do. These are mine. So they're the GIFs. That's my overlay, it's just that on the side. And these are my 3 emotes, which show up like little emojis. And that's my streaming soon, be right back, and I've got one at the end, which is stay in touch, follow and subscribe. For promotion, I'd recommend making a schedule poster that you can post each week with your schedule. You don't have to. There's a lot of people that don't. But I reckon it's good practice. These are mine. Now, that's all the digital assets you'll need. Next is streaming. So you've got everything, you're all good to go, you set it all up, you got your equipment, you're like, when is this nightmare gonna end? It ends here. And the fun time begins, And once you start, this is just like with YouTube, once you've got your camera and you've sat with your Premiere software editing program and you've edited up, you get to reach your audience. And this is really fun. If you start streaming, you may get addicted to it because of the instant reactions. And it's really, really fun. How do you do it? On Twitch, you go to your dashboard, you go to your settings, dashboard, and then you fill in the details. You've got a title. For example, I wrote, creating monsters using $2 colored pencils, Monster Monday. That's an example title. Then your go live notification. Mary's creating monsters using $2 pencils, join in. That's just a notification that shows up on people's phones where they can click and watch you on their phone. Then the category, I would recommend creative. You can try IRL when you get bigger numbers, or if you want to risk it. IRL has a lot more viewers, but I would say start in creative, and if you're more confident and you want to jump into the big pool of huge numbers of viewers, then you can try IRL. Then you've got communities. These are 3 communities I would recommend for all of you guys. These are relatively well established, and you can look into more communities later once you're more proficient with Twitch, but this will give you a good start because more people will see you. So these are for artists specifically. If you're here and you're not an artist, not going to apply. Chill streams, variety streaming, and positivity. They're really nice communities. Then your language is English. You click update, and then once you're done, you go to OBS Studio and you click to set up your streaming soon screen. Then you mute your microphone, so if you're there burping or like scratching yourself or something that's not heard, you mute your microphone and you hit start streaming. And you've got this beautiful period of time, you can have it as long as you want, where it's streaming, I'm going to be streaming soon. I've seen people do that for an hour. Don't do it for an hour. Do it for maybe a song, like play a song in the background, and when it's the end of the song, then you can start going in, or maybe 5 minutes. There's a lot of people that leave it silent. There's people that have video animations that say, streaming soon, yeah, for like 5 minutes. Whatever you want to do, but I'd say play some music on your computer. At least it's less boring that way for your early people. Yeah.
What was your thoughts on copyright-free music?
I would say use it. use copyright-free music or music you have written permission to use. Twitch will mute parts of your VOD, like your video once you're done, that have copyright infringing music. But I just think it's bad practice in general to copyright infringe.
Can't you just do sampling? Isn't that?
That's copyright infringement still.
Right.
I just think it's good practice to get into the habit of using copyright free. I had a really good website and I didn't add it to my slides.
Is that the one which you can do a subscription and then you can just use the music from there?
I will give you a site name after. I will actually, like, once this is done and everything, I will sit down and I'll write it down for everyone to see. Or I'll just type it up here so everyone can see it. Because there's a very good one for that. And musicians say, I'm a musician. If you came to me and asked me, can I use your music? I would say yes. And then you could use my music. I will happily write you a note saying such. If you have independent musician friends, they will happily do that for you too. But yeah, I would say do that. Copyright infringing is just, most of the time now with Twitch, you get away with it. But I just think it's bad practice. You know what I mean? It's not that difficult to avoid it.
Well, with YouTube, the policies have changed. If someone detects that you've used their music, then they have a right to get the monetization from.
Yeah, Twitch doesn't have that. They might get something similar in the future. I think in general, though, if you can avoid it, then do. If you want to play copyright infringing music, at the moment there is no penalization for that. Apart from when people play back your video, it will be muted, which I mean is a bit inconvenient. But I would stick with copyright, not copyright infringing, if that makes sense. Then if you hit start streaming, play some non-copyright infringing music on your computer while that screen is up. Once it's done, you can give people approximately the length of 1 or 2 songs, 5 minutes. I would say no longer than that, because some people arrive early and then if you don't start for like 20 minutes, they go, what is this? I have things to be doing, you know? Then unmute your mic and go to your main stream scene in OBS Studio. And yeah, you're good to go. Then you spend the next few hours making your art and talking.
If you're like a new person setting this thing up, and how do the audience find you? Like you think about setting up your channel?
I will go into that. So that is happening later. I've got an entire section on that. So manpower. This is still in the setup section. Mods, moderators, and by this I mean real human people that you can touch, that exist in the real world. I know, it's scary, but they're around. Yeah, a few of you having heart attacks here, but it's easy to get caught up in equipment and software you need and set up endless bots, including many that I haven't mentioned, that you can find if you go searching. But forget that you need real people helping you too. Your mods or moderators are literally pure gold. These are the people that speak to the trolls, that time them out and ban them when there are people in the chat writing things like, your art smells like turd, or whatever. They're the ones that go, oh, ban that idiot, or whatever. They're the people who answer questions in chat when you're busy, when someone goes, how old is she? Happens way too frequently. Really weird question, always comes up. They can go, she's 26, full stop. Or, she doesn't want to say, full stop. They're the people who get to pull up relevant commands and keep chat colourful. So, for example, if you're speaking about how you've got a YouTube video coming out now, they can use the YouTube command and your YouTube comes up. Or if you somehow mention Pac-Man, you can bring up the Pac-Man command, which is just like a whole picture of Pac-Man in ASCII art, whatever you want to do. But basically, your moderators are very important, mostly because if your chat is full of trolls and people getting away with that sort of stuff, then that will encourage more of that behavior and your chat will spiral into toxicity, and you don't want that. And also, you don't really want to be moderating yourself. To make someone a mod, type mod their username in chat. So -mod patcat. Pat's my mod, for example. You can make a number of people your mod, and that badge will show up before their name in chat. It's kind of their way of being like, yeah, that's right, I'm better than everybody here. But it is a genuine honor to be a mod. I've been a mod of a number of channels, and every time I am, I feel very grateful because the person clearly trusts me. But can I mod for myself? Nah. At the start, when there aren't many people, maybe you can. If there's like 1 or 2 people watching, I guess it doesn't matter, right? But even then it will divert your attention from your primary focus, which is entertaining, delivering value to your audience. And you really want to do that as well as you can, because that's how you get more audience, and that's how you reach more people, and that's how people appreciate your art and buy your artworks, is by focusing on that, not on deleting trolls. I recommend getting yourself mods from the very start. Oh, but I hate people. People scare me. I don't like human life forms. Who will mod for me? Your partner, family, or friends are all options. Partners modding partners is very common. Like half the people I see on Twitch have their partner, their life partner, their wife, their husband, their fiance, whatever, modding them. It's very, very common. Mod for mod is very common. So if you're here now and you don't have someone that you can go to mod for you, find someone else in this room that's thinking of starting streaming and say, hey, I'll mod for you if you mod for me. That's a very common way to start. As you progress, you might find other mods as well, but it's not uncommon at all. It's very normal. The It's Raining Mods method is making a chunk of your regular viewers mods. So there's always at least one in chat. So it's basically making a whole bunch of people mods so that you're guaranteed to have a mod there, theoretically. Sometimes they still don't all show up. It's better than not having mods, but bear in mind it's really hard to unmod somebody that you made a mod without offending them. Because it's very offensive to go, I trust and respect you, and then a couple of months down the track go, I made a mistake with you, didn't I? You know what I mean? Like, so if you're going to make a regular viewer your mod because you're desperate to have a mod, remember that if someone comes along that will be a fantastic mod for you, you can't unmod that one and make this one a mod. You have to actually trust your mods, right? So I would say the It's Raining Mods method is a bad idea. I've seen a lot of people do it. I don't do it myself, and this is why. Because it's not cool later down the track if you got a rogue mod, but they're one of your regular viewers, to go, look, I don't like your modding style, I'm going to unmod you, because they're going to get very hurt. But it is a very common method as well. A lot of people that don't have a partner and are too awkward to ask somebody else to mod for mod, they just mod whoever's there. Sometimes people get made mod and they go, what do I have to, I don't know how to mod. What is this? Why is there a green thing beside my name? And then leave. So bear that in mind too. Seeking a pro mod, I call them pro mods, who mod for many channels. These particularly incredible people who give so much of their time to supporting others, they know their stuff and they're really good at modding. They're the ones that you get, and as soon as a troll comes, like within half a second they're gone. And you're like, whoa, that's boss. They're the people that don't, they don't show up all the time, but when they do their job and they go, and they're just like, they swoosh, they swoosh. But they might actually be too busy to fully commit to your channel. So they might say they'll mod for you, because they mod for a whole bunch of channels. They go, yeah, I'll mod for you. But they might not always be there. Maybe they're modding for someone else at the time. Maybe they're living their life, because they surprisingly have lives as well, So seeking a pro mod is still an option, but just bear in mind they might be busy. Then creating an application form. I've seen this done, where you have, this is when you have more viewers, and then viewers can apply to become a mod, and you can look through their credentials and then pick one from there. This is better if you have tens of thousands of followers, if you're a partner on Twitch. If you don't, it's very weird, no one will apply to you, don't do it. People will just be like, that's strange, you know what I mean? So I would recommend going with these two methods.
What would they say to make a troll go away?
They can literally just ban them.
Just ban them.
Or time them out. I'll go through that, but what to look for in a mod is first, is regularly able to attend your streams, pays good levels of attention to your streams. They don't have to be like there the whole time. As I said, most people will have streams on in the background, and that is actually perfectly fine even for a mod. But they have to keep track of what's going on. They have to check in, to check the chat that no one's being a troll, right? And they can't be overly brash. They have to give people a chance rather than deleting them straight away if they are on that borderline. Because there's a lot of people that are straight out trolls, you can delete them straight away. Some of them, they're just really awkward people. And they don't mean to be awkward, but either they don't type very well, and I'm sure all of us have a parent or a relative that whenever they text you, you think that they might hate you just because of the way they type. Or you think there's something mentally not going right, or you're like, are you okay, Mom? You're like, yes. Oh, all right. I'm coming home at 7. Okay. You know, that sort of thing, when you get like someone that just doesn't communicate well through text, or some people just come across as awkward, and they're not trolls. They're just, you know, not really communicating well. You need a mod that's not going to delineate them straight away, but just write to them and go, look, your sense of humor is a little bit uncomfortable for the viewers here. Can you please refrain? So you need someone that's able to look and see the good in people, as opposed to just going, that was a weird statement, delete. For example, when I was streaming at one point, one of the viewers wrote, you should speak in horse-ish, right? And to everyone else there, that might seem like a really weird comment. Like, what the hell is, what's this person on about? But it turns out I had made a video in private that he had seen of me speaking to a horse, about the horse being a fan of another channel. It was a thank you video to this other channel. I was like, hey Mac, do you like 2 Guys 1 Couch? Because it was for a channel called 2 Guys 1 Couch, and the horse didn't respond, but you know. So it was a reference to that. And my mods, because they're not too brash, turned around and went, what was this thing you just said? And he went, oh, it's an inside joke. And I went, all right, in that case, maybe don't do as many of those because no one knows what the inside joke is. And he went, okay, and then moved on with life. So you need a mod that's not too brash for that reason. Someone that copes well with people, because telling somebody that they sound awkward in chat is an awkward thing to do. Like, you need someone that's able to diplomatically write to them privately and say, look, you're making people uncomfortable, I know you don't intend to, as opposed to, you're very awkward, stop it. Like, if you got someone that does that, that's not a great moderator because they're scaring people off. They're scaring your potential viewers off. And in general, you just need someone that's clever, so they can tell when something is a troll and when it's not a troll, can tell when to trigger something, and is kind. Someone that also tries to see the good in people, even through text form. Benefits. Alright, so this is where we look into making the most of Twitch, how you can get people to watch you, how you can get people to support you, and the way to maximize them. So I've gone through this very, I guess, what's the word? In a more logical manner. It's a more sterile view of this than an emotional one. I've looked through stats. So why go to all the effort? You get exposure. You get real connection, and you get regular interaction. This is what leads to an actual fan relationship. You may have noticed if you go to conventions, your actual fans are the people that have seen you at the convention, that you've talked to, that you've actually spoken to your comic about them. There's a real connection. It's not just them walking past, there's a real connection, and that you've then seen again and again at other conventions. Those people are the ones that come back and buy every single comic you have, right? That's an actual fan. It's not just someone that goes, oh, that's cool, buys one, and you never see them again. That's not an actual fan. So that you get through Twitch. You also get the ability to make income, the ability to give back, and right now, if you start on Twitch now, unlike YouTube, it's not saturated. So you have the opportunity to get in now before it becomes mainstream. And if you're in now, when it blows up, which by the way, it's already starting to do, then you'll be one of those early starters. And you know what happens with early starters in social networks? They get a massive boost. So you want to be there as soon as possible. So you then have the opportunity over then, in time, to capitalize over this, provided you keep it up, obviously, and you make the best of it. So maximize and incentivize. How do you get the most of each of these? So this is the bit that you were asking about. Exposure! These sources for people, according to Twitch statistics specifically, and this means that this is the accurate way people find you, this is not just me waffling, is followers, the browse page, your channel page, and hosts. That is also in the order of magnitude. For me personally, some pages are different, but I think many of them will be very similar. This is often your primary source of income, followers. That's from my experience. Twitch reminds people to follow who are watching. So if you ever go on Twitch, it's a very, very clever channel. If someone goes on your stream and they watch you for over a minute or something, a little pop-up comes up saying you should follow them to see their future streams. And this really encourages people to click follow. YouTube doesn't do this, so this is an extra kind of perk for the Twitch channel on desktop. People are more likely to follow you. You can feel free to occasionally remind people to follow you, but I mean, with that sort of thing, people they already know they can follow you, to be honest. A good time to do it, though, is if you are going to tell people to follow you, is when you're about to finish streaming. Tell people, if you only caught the end of the stream, and you want to see more, I'm not going to be doing more right now, but please follow, and then you can. That's at least a reasonable reason, but it shouldn't be your main call to action. I will explain your main calls to action later. You're mostly catering to pre-existing followers a lot of the time, or just focusing on your content, you know? So you can also set a follower goal. So you may have seen my follower goal, and that encourages people to follow as well. Some people want to help you get to the goal. If you're a couple off, they hit follow, and sometimes your community is like, come on guys, follow, we're so close, come on. And that can encourage people too. A follow means nothing if notifications are off though. So with Twitch, they can turn notifications on or off, just like YouTube. There's that bell in YouTube. Twitch has a bell too. Notifications are on by default. So if someone follows you, they're going to get notifications. But if you crash and restart your computer 10 times, people are going to go, oh man, I'm sick of these notifications. And a little option says, turn notifications off, and they do. So they'll follow you and then make you invisible without even knowing they've done any of that. So try not to crash too much. In general, your content is what brings you followers though. Just like with every social network. If you're drawing something cool, your voice doesn't sound irritating, and you have decent background music, they will hit follow. Focus on that, because it will pay off a lot more than the rest of it. What you really want to build are a core group of followers you can rely on to be at various streams. So your US audience, your Euro audience, etc. by streaming at different times, and I'll go through that later. But that's what you really want to build, is a core group. And from that core group will also, just like with any social network, you wonder how people go from 100 to 1,000 quickly. It's because their core group inducts new people into the community. People are not there for you anymore, they're there for the community. And that's how it should be. That's what your art is. Your art is no longer you, it's your art, and it's your group of people that admire your art and see into your art, right? That's what you want. So browse page is the second biggest source for me, so it's a big thing. When people go to creative or IRL or positivity or chill streams or something, your stream is there somewhere in that page. And if you have a clever, not clickbait, but interesting title, that's a good idea, and that will help people click. So the most important thing to do is actually describe what you're doing on your stream, because the other thing is people will click on your stream and click off if that's not what you're doing. So as an example, I put art that will blow your mind. Get ready for mind explosion. Hashtag art, hashtag so much wow. That's a terrible title. You will get so many trolls on your stream. They will all tell you things like, this is not wow at all. Ouch, it hurts my eyes. Because that's the sort of people you're attracting with that title. If you have something like painting using leftover beetroot juice. Yes, you read that right. That's interesting and different, and people go, what? Click on it and look. So I've seen a stream like that, and that's been like, interesting. And then you click and you look, and then people stay because the art is good and the personality is good. So do something interesting. Setting up your stream to look good is also good, because people see a screenshot. They just see a random thumbnail generated. So if your stream generally looks good, then that's going to encourage people to click on it as well. So lights, a neat setup, a nice overlay. Similar to YouTube, you want a good thumbnail and you want a good title. The streams getting the most views at any one time, however, appear at the top. That's the most important thing. You know how in YouTube you do all these tag things so you can get to the top? In Twitch, you get to the top if you've got more viewers. So what you want is to try and bring people in at the very start. Post as soon as you start streaming on social media. Post on Discord. Get your core group of followers in. So say if you've got like, at the moment, say you've got 2 followers. At least you got 2. You are now above all the people that have 0 and 1 people watching. And on Twitch at the moment, there is a really big kind of mud pit. Mugs are cool, mud less cool. Mud pit of people between 0 and 5 viewers. There's a lot of videos there. from people that don't ask anyone to watch them, and they stay down there. If you get above that mud pit, and you suddenly get between 6 to 10 viewers, you are so much more visible. So much more visible. If you get above 20 viewers, you are suddenly in the upper echelons. And it's so much harder to get, so much easier to bring viewers in if you're at the top. That's why the people at the top might have 40 viewers naturally, but they have 100 watching them because they're at the top and people click on the first thing they see. So that's why it's very important to get that core group, and that's why I would encourage Sydney Comics Guild people to help each other out and watch each other's streams, to give feedback on what they're doing, to support each other, but also to get those initial viewers, because literally 5 people makes a world of difference getting you above there. Then your channel page. Use social media to promote that you're starting a stream. I highly recommend Twitter and Discord. If you post on Facebook all the time, it will become invisible because of the algorithm. And just Facebook doesn't like showing posts from pages in general. So only really post on your personal one. I would suggest posting a schedule on the other channels like Facebook and Google Plus and whatever else you use, because that way your schedule might not get their attention. It might, but what you can do is remind people to follow your page. And you can remind them every week to follow your page in the guise of a schedule, and then a couple of them will follow your page, and then they'll get notifications and watch you. And then also make your profile page attractive, so people who visit during times that you're not on come back, not go, oh, it's just that, and then leave. These two are more important. This also speaking to people in real life. I've got a section just on promotion later in this presentation as well. Hosts are when another streamer, when they are currently not streaming, puts your stream on their profile page, right? So if you go to my page, or if you went to my page prior to me starting this stream, you would have seen 2 guys dressed up as fairy princesses singing songs. That's not what they normally do, but it's still pretty funny, but you would have seen it. That's because I'm hosting them. So they or you can host someone by typing -host and their username into the chat section. You can raid someone, and a raid is at the end of your stream. Once you've just finished streaming, you usually choose somebody to raid. This means you take your entire audience there, and you type -raid and their username. And if you get a host or a raid, you suddenly get all these extra people watching you. A host is usually not too many, it's 4 or 5 people. If you're very lucky, it's 20 at most, with the huge streamers hosting you. But if you get a raid, then you can end up with all of a sudden having 100 people in your stream, 200 people in your stream. If you get raided by a massive streamer, you suddenly have thousands of people in your stream and you don't know what's going on and your mind is exploding. So they're really good. One thing to bear in mind is most people that raid stay for approximately 10 seconds before they decide they don't like you. Then some of them will stay for 30, and very few of them will continue staying. So you'll get very excited, and that first 30 seconds, do something that will keep them. Because if you can do something that will keep them, they may not stay, but they'll give you a follow, and they'll come back next time. Most of the time, if they just watch someone else's stream, they're ready to go to bed, or they want to do something else now. So it's nothing against you, it's just the way it is. Getting hosted or raiding. There is only really one way to do this, and that's watch other people's streams and interact with them. Make friends and show support to other streamers, because then they'll feel inclined to support you back. So just watch other streams, just be like, hey, just tuning in, gonna lurk in the background while I cook dinner, and put them on in the background while you cook dinner. They mention something, you come in, I disagree. Keep cooking dinner, whatever. But that's supporting them, because you're watching their streams. Don't, this is really, really, really important, type into another stream's chat asking for them to raid you. Don't ask for them to host you. Don't private message them and ask them to raid you or host you. Do not ask for a raid for raid. All of these things are very bad practice. This one is public and makes you look like a dick. These two, the streamer will probably avoid you like the plague because they think you're a horrendous spam person. Just don't do those things. Be genuine, be nice, and people will raid you. People will see you're on and raid you. raid fails. So when you finished your stream and you're going to go raid someone, and when you raid, often it's a very good exposure thing because you raid someone and suddenly their entire stream knows that you exist, right? Raiding fails include raiding a vodcast, which is a rerun of a previous video, which means that there's no one there. They're just doing a rerun. Then raiding a stream as it's about to end. So you raid someone and go, hey, I'm here, and they go, oh, we're finishing. That's always disappointing. Or one that's just ended. So you didn't notice that they were wrapping up, so you raid them, and by the time you get there, they're no longer there. Raiding a followers only or subscribers only stream is always very annoying, because you often can't tell, and you get there, and none of your viewers can get in. Raiding someone who isn't grateful and doesn't acknowledge you, you don't know who'll be like this until you raid them. There's a lot of people like this. Especially bigger streamers that don't even acknowledge you. Some people will acknowledge you, they'll look you up, they'll talk about you, they'll say, oh, it's this person, I've seen their stream, they're fantastic. Some people will say, oh, I've never met you before, let's look you up. Look you up on their stream and plug you, and you'll get a whole bunch of people from their community following you in response, and you'll be like, yay, I didn't do anything and I got 10 followers. And some people you'll raid and they won't even acknowledge. I've had people say, I don't do raids, and then continue. I've had people that literally didn't even acknowledge me. I've raided people with like 70 viewers. No response. So it's a fail, but you learn not to raid them again. I honestly feel, and this is my personal opinion, there are streamers that will disagree with me, but I honestly feel just a thank you for the raid, welcome to your community is something that's due if you raid someone. So if someone does that, then they're a decent streamer and raid them again. If not, my personal opinion is they should be a bit more grateful when you bring your entire community to see them. So that's my personal opinion. Raiding wins. Raiding streams that become friends with your stream and you have a shared community. And at first you might be like, no, people will leave me to other communities. And I can say that happens. People find other streams they prefer. And it's very sad, it's disappointing. I've had people that I thought were like definitely going to be part of my main community that have left to other streams. But you get a lot more back from it. A lot more back. And a lot of the time, most of the time actually, you'll share. So people will watch your stream and their stream. And it will actually become a community event where your community hangs out in their stream together, and it helps the bond of your own community being in that other person's stream. So I recommend asking at the end of your stream, who do you want to raid to your community, to see who they already want to watch. Because then you might form that friendship there because you've got some sort of joint interest. Give a few options. Don't say, who do you want to raid? Do you want to raid Patrick? Or Patrick? No, you give a few options. But also mix it up, so raid people that you don't know too. You'll expose your stream to a wider audience if you try raiding different people. It'll also help you appreciate the good raids, because you'll likely experience a bunch of raid fails as well. I'd also say raiding bigger as well as smaller streams. So a combination of the two. And I will tell you why. A lot of people will say strategically you're better off raiding the big streamers. But I will tell you why small streamers are also very, very good to raid. So this is big versus small. If you raid a big streamer, you've got a bigger audience. So it's a bigger chance of exposure. When you raid them, say if they've got 500 viewers, for example. That's massive, right? 500 people just saw your name pop up and a notification with your name. And maybe the streamer said, thank you, your name, for raiding. What do you do? That's cool. They do this. And maybe even if 2% of their audience follows you, maybe that's a dozen people that are now following you. And of that dozen people, maybe 3 or 4 will actually come and become a part of your community. That's massive, right? Especially because you're trying to gain people one at a time a lot of the time. This is like huge. So raiding a big streamer is great. If they raid back, so if they say thank you by raiding you in response in another week, so you've suddenly got 500 people watching you. That's like, whoa! And you're also more likely to have Twitch staff in the room, because the staff hang around in the big streams because they look after the partners. So if you're trying to become a partner, so you're around the 75 viewer per stream range, you want the Twitch staff to notice. You raid, and then they notice, right? But you know how I said some streamers don't even acknowledge your raid? Most of the streamers that don't even acknowledge your raid are big streamers. They go, oh, 6 people, whatever. Means nothing to them. That 6 people could be 6 people that you slaved to get to watch your stream. 6 people that are super high quality people. And they just go, whatever. Because for them, that's not a raid. For them, if it's not above 100, it's not a raid. So bear that in mind. Small streamers, they're more likely to be grateful and actually acknowledge you. Some big streamers literally ignore you. And you just have to accept that. If a streamer ignores you when you raid, don't type in, hey dude, I raided you, what the hell, man? They don't care. They don't care. Just accept it. And it makes you look really stupid if you start asking for acknowledgement. Small streamers may also have fresh meat. And fresh meat are people that are new to Twitch, that have just created an account so they can watch their friend or whatever. And these people are not drowning in many channels to watch. They're new to Twitch. They see you. They go, oh, look, it's another person. I can watch another person. Rather than, oh, look, it's another person. I have 6 billion channels I'm already watching. I have no time for anyone else. So if you go to there, you might actually have more follow-up from a small stream just because they might have fresh meat. Viewers in more established streams are more likely to ignore new people. Especially if you're raiding a big stream, know that most of the time people raid big streams. So a big streamer is likely to get 20 to 30 raids or hosts. A small streamer, that might be like their first raid ever. They might be like, oh my god, someone likes me. They might be so happy. And the other thing, and this I think is the most important one, is you're more likely to get a follow-up from the streamer themselves. They're more likely to tweet to you and say thank you for your raid. They're more likely to say, we did this and this in the stream today, thank you so much to this person for raiding me, it meant a lot. If it's a big streamer, they're not going to write a list of 50 names of people that raided them. They're not going to care. This person might, and you might even form a friendship. You might be able to chat behind the scenes about your struggles with streaming, and it's actually really, really beautiful when you get to know a small streamer. Something that happened with me is at the start, I tried to raid people that were my size, and my size was very small. And I formed these connections with people, and we grew together. Our streams are about the same followership, and they're growing at about the same rate. And we're friends, and we ask each other for tips and what's going on, and what's this event? Do you know about this? And it's this really lovely thing where it makes it more fun to Twitch. So I would recommend, for human reasons, not just strategic reasons, to also raid smaller streamers. Big streamers, I have a feeling everyone will raid anyway because it's good for exposure. Why didn't they raid me? Sometimes it can feel like someone owed you a raid. I raided that person, why didn't they raid me back? Maybe they're friends, maybe they're recently chatting with you. Know that no one owes you a raid. There are many reasons why they may have not raided you, including that they might be waiting for a better time. They might know they can get higher numbers and raid you with higher numbers. I've done this before. I've seen someone on and been like, I could raid them now, but I know I can do better numbers than I've done today. I'll try and raid them next week. So know that it might actually come from a good place. They might actually be not raiding you from a good place. Don't get offended. Don't go off at them. Sometimes they are doing it for strategic reasons. Sometimes they're like, oh, if I raid this big streamer here, I can get a shout out. Let them be strategic. They will eventually come back and raid you, and they might have more viewers because they were strategic, so they gained a bigger following. So don't get all upset if people don't raid you. Maximize real connection. So we've now maximized exposure. Let's maximize real connection. Engage chat, encourage interaction, and pay attention. That's what I would recommend. Engage chat, check chat, and respond to people. There is no bigger turn-off than a streamer that completely ignores the chat, especially as they refer to them as an anonymous glob of fans. Don't do that. If someone's like, hey, what pencils do you use? And if you don't have a command, you can go, I use these pencils. Here, look. And keep going. The person will get this high off the fact that you got a response. So, respond to them. Check your Discord and respond to people on Discord as well. There's no bigger turn-off, I find, than if you subscribe, you get to be in the VIP section of my Discord. You go to the VIP section of the Discord and it's tumbleweeds. And you're like, oh, hey there! 2 weeks later, hi. So, respond to people in Discord. Basically, respond to people that write to you. It seems simple and obvious, but it takes practice. Also, there are times you might not be able to. Maybe you're really into like a very detailed part of your artwork. Maybe you're doing clay. And you're like, oh, I want to respond to that Discord message, but I can't because my hands are covered in clay. I know that there are people in this room that would have that problem. If you're on stream, get a command so your mod can be like, !super focused. Mary is in super focus mode. It's a superhero mode in which she arts like a ninja, but she can't respond to chat. She'll check chat soon though, stick around. Something like that. Or have mods that respond to them. She uses dough and pencils. God, she's mentioned this 20 times, you've been here. You should know. Encourage interaction. And this is asking questions people can answer. Don't ask people what they think of the political state of Iran, because that's a complicated question. Ask questions that are simple and real, that don't need overly difficult kind of thinking. They're not too personal. If people want to say personal stories in response to things, they will do that anyway. And when they do, treat them sensitively, because that's a big thing when people give you personal things. Don't ask for them. But if you say something like, what do you guys think I should give this character I've drawn? You reckon I should give them a battle sword or an axe? And they can just write axe. That's really easy to do. Even someone that's really socially awkward can type axe. It's simple. Find ways people can get involved with chat in your stream that aren't like that, not questions. Things like, let's get some fire emotes in the chat. And then people put fire emotes. That doesn't even take any sort of decision making. You just put fire emotes, And that gets people involved. Outside programs exist, like Jackbox games, where you can literally get your viewers to play games with you, which are an option to look into as well. So, they're very fun. Paying attention. You can't expect people to be interested in you if you aren't going to be interested in them. Trust me, you'll gain a lot of inspiration and actual long-lasting relationships by doing this. And I would recommend doing this in real life as well. This is one of those strange things. You all know someone like this that comes up and goes, hey, oh, my day, it's been horrendous. This and this happened and this happened. Oh, look at my phone. Oh, yeah. And you're sitting there waiting for the moment they're going to ask you how you're doing. Or about, like, the fact that your arm is in a cast or something. And they just don't. And it just doesn't happen. And then they finish the conversation and leave and you're like, was I needed for that? They could have talked to a pot plant. They'd probably get like the same level of interaction. So don't be that person. Learn things about people who watch your streams. Go to their Twitter page. Go to their Twitch page. Go to their Instagram. A lot of the time you'll actually gain inspiration and some sort of lasting connection with them that's more deep and valuable. Encourage them to share things they do on your Discord. Sometimes they share photos of themselves or their pets. And it's this beautiful insight into the people. They suddenly become real, and that's one of the things that you don't get as often on the internet. You're like, oh, I've got X followers, that's nice. And it's just a number, and you're like, it's too low, I need a bigger number. But if you've got 100 followers and you know what they look like, you know their pets, you know their interests, you know what they do and what they post online, one of them makes music, one of them enjoys cutlery, whatever. It adds dimension to it. So even for that reason, it's a good thing for your mental health to do too. I'd avoid encouraging pressure points though. So if you bring up political topics, your chat will get engaged, but they may also fight amongst themselves, and that can pull apart your community. Avoid them unless you are a political person, unless that's what you're doing, in which case know that you're going to alienate all the people that don't agree with you. Because they're not going to watch you if you spend large chunks of your stream spouting your opinion on something they disagree with. Maximize regular interaction. This is the third part of engaging. Have a schedule. Try and cover different time zones. Do things in between streams as well. So this is how you get the different audiences. Yeah. I would say the most important thing is to have a schedule. I know that some people can't. Some people are parents. Some people, their lives are hectic. They can't have a schedule. But having regular-ish times is still better than not having a schedule. I'd recommend making a poster style thing in Photoshop, but have a schedule also just to keep you in check so that you're doing it every week or every 2 days or whatever. That's mine. That's my regular schedule. That's the one I put up every week. Sometimes it's different to the regular schedule because I've got something on. For different time zones, anything on the internet is usually global. With streaming, because most people only really want to watch streams live, some watch them back, but people prefer live in general, time zones become important. Certain times may seem to work better for you. Say maybe you stream at 1 p.m. where there's more US people and you're getting more viewers than when you stream at 3 p.m., which is kind of the dead zone for Twitch. But it's more friendly to Europeans, right? Keep doing both because you're building different audiences. And that means if you keep doing the 1 p.m. one, it may look like you've got 75 viewers each time. Oh yeah, you're killing it. But it's always the same 75 viewers. If you have 30 viewers at 1 p.m., 30 viewers at 3 p.m., 30 viewers at 7 p.m., and 30 viewers at 10 p.m., you've got more viewers than the person that has 75 each time at the same time. So do the different time zones. You'll get different audiences. Some will work better than others. Don't take that as an indication that you shouldn't do them. It's just sometimes have more people on Twitch than other times. Prime time on Twitch, best time, I'm sorry to break it to you, it's between midnight and 6 a.m. It's not good for us. But it's okay. Do what works for you. If you can stay up, I actually have friends that do stay up for those hours to get that time. And they say it's fantastic because they get more views. But the sleep schedule is whack. So just do what works for you. If you're crazy and you want the viewers, go crazy, I would recommend keeping your sleep schedule because health is important. You hear me, Jonathan? Alright, so nighttimes get a bigger Euro audience, midday gets a bigger US audience. Weekends are fantastic. There are more people watching in weekends. So if you're like, oh, I've got a day job, weekends are actually great. I don't do weekends because I can't, because I'm busy during them. But they're very good. So don't be like, oh, I can only do weekends. Weekends are great. Oftentimes, you'll find that midday gets a better audience because it's US. Don't let that discourage you. Give the Euro people content as well. Interacting between streams. Your Discord and social media are great places in between. I would also encourage post YouTube videos, create polls or interactive things that people can partake in Discord. There's a thing called rab.it, Rabbit, and you can watch movies with your viewers and like chat while watching movies. So you don't even have to be live. You can spend time checking out things your audience creates and leave comments, because that shows that you're there. I make the mistake a lot of the time of watching things or looking at things my audience creates and not leaving a comment or showing any sign that I've seen it. You actually do have to write down because they're not psychic. I figured this out now. Respond to private messages, but bear in mind that you're not a therapist or counselor. I've had people write some very personal things and I've been trying my best, but I have to acknowledge that I'm not a counselor. And honestly, if they need help, the best thing you can do is tell them, I'm here for you and I care about you, but I haven't got the abilities to help you the way that someone that's professionally trained could. Also, you're not a ringmaster. If two people are having a fight and both of them are writing to you about like the other person and how much they hate them, don't go, yeah, you're right, he's such a dick. Like, don't do that. Why would you in the first place? Tell them you're fully grown adults, sort it out, because they are fully grown adults and they can sort it out. And it's not your job to sort those things out. If you side with one side, that will cause issues. If you don't side with one side, it'll cause issues. If you disagree with both of them, it'll cause very big issues. Just like, it's not your job. Making an income. Ka-ching, ka-ching. You like ka-ching, right? Income streams include donations, subscriptions, cheers, people buying your merch, people pledging to you on Patreon, or there's other collection thingies, crowdfunding, advertising revenue if you're a partner, endorsements, lots of ways to make money. Incentivize. People don't want to really give something for nothing most of the time, even though they might say they do. So even if they do though, it's nice to give something in return. The main ways to incentivize on stream are do something on the stream for the person, acknowledge the person, or promise something after the stream. So if you're doing something on stream, some examples include drawing them a little artwork, wearing something, especially something funny, changing the backdrop if you're using a green screen. It can be like if someone donates $2, they get to choose my backdrop. Just make sure it's not obscene or something. triggering an animation from Streamlabs or elsewhere. You can have you dancing with the brush stickers if you want. But this at least is doing something on the stream. Acknowledging them is specifically saying they are the ones that supported you. So writing their name on an object. So if someone subscribes to you, it's very common. There's a drummer who writes someone's names on drumsticks. There are people who hang up Christmas ornaments around Christmas time with people's names on them as a thank you for subscribing. Mentioning them on stream, just saying thank you Patrick, I appreciate your support, is very important. Or even off stream, just on Twitter. This person, thank you so much for your huge donation. I still can't believe it. Having on-screen alerts, animations and or events lists from Streamlabs as well. You can have things like the donation ticker, which say the specific names of the people. So that's always good too. But that way, the person gets credited with the good they've done in supporting you. Having a donation ticker, as I mentioned, the cheers leaderboard is something you can keep on your profile page. Just kind of leaderboard of how much people have cheered. And also you can put the person into an artwork. I've had comic artists put me into their comics and it's the best thing ever. I will show anybody that comes past that comic and I will tell them about the person. So you can do that if someone donates enough or whatever. Promising something off stream, bear in mind this is extra time. And you have to deliver on your promises. With streaming, because you're doing it regularly, they will follow up on you. You have to do it. So a PDF or a HD wallpaper kind of version of final artworks is good for subscribers. Actual physical paintings or artworks for subscribers that win like a raffle or something. Handmade bracelets is something I've seen done. A PDF of custom artworks for anyone who donates X amount. You can always specify that shipping is not included. If someone lives in the middle of whoop whoop, then you can just be like, I'm sorry I can't pay shipping for any of the things that you get. And when that person comes and goes, oh, it's $170 to ship, you can be like, oh, I don't cover shipping. It's mentioned in my profile page or whatever. Encouraging off-stream support. So this is like merch, crowdfunding, Kickstarter. So all the on-stream support, the previous things should encourage it. Off-stream support, you can set up a timed Nightbot command or a Capamon command where your little cat or creature dances around saying, did you know that Nathan has a Patreon? You should make sure you go on Patreon. I love Patreon. There's all these like pictures of monsters like me. Or whatever. You can put a link on your profile page. You can mention it occasionally, but keep it occasional. Don't spend every second going, did you know I have a Patreon? Give me money. Because people don't like that. It's best if it's a relevant way. So for example, if you're drawing a dragon artwork and you finish your dragon, you can go, hey, if you really like dragons, I actually have an art book full of dragons. It's a dragon art book. And you can get it, it's like $5. Here's a link to it. That's an okay way of doing it, whereas just saying, hey, I got a dragon artwork book. I got a dragon artwork book is not cool. Promote it through Discord or other social media when you have new releases and events too. Getting endorsements. This is not going to apply to most of us unless you've already got a big following. First thing you need is numbers. Then use very specific stats, which you should be collecting off all your social media channels already, with approximate numbers of viewers you have at any one time if you're going to do an announcement on someone's behalf, because that's what they care about, how many people are going to hear it. If you're going to be wearing a shirt or something for an entire show, say how many people you have viewing your shows in general. So you might have 75 viewers at once, but that might add up to 1,000 people over the course of the show. That sort of thing. So, but start with getting the numbers. Oftentimes the rest will come naturally. People will contact you and say, hey, you've got these big numbers in this industry and I'm interested in reaching your audience. Giving back. I think this is one of the best parts of streaming, personally. You can give back to those who support you, the people who are directly looking out for you. You can fundraise for charity, so you can help people outside of your community, and you can spread awareness of others that you care about too. People, other creators, for example. So you can give back to those who support you. Try to always give more in value back to those who support you than you're taking. So if someone gives a $5 donation, go above and beyond what $5 is worth in terms of giving back to them. Make a one-of-a-kind, exciting sorts of perks for your followers and various financial incentives as well, and often it's forgotten, as well as non-financial incentives. So if someone if you reach a follower goal, or if someone does something nice to you, that's not financial. You still should acknowledge that. If someone has tweeted about you or whatever, like their tweet, retweet it. You know, it's not just money. Listen to your community, give them time, and appreciate the wonderful things about the members of your community. Even time is giving something back. Be active on other streamers' streams who support your stream. Again, that's giving back by supporting them. And say thank you. Actually voice it. A lot of the time you can just be like, oh, cool, $50, neat. Make sure you say thank you for that $50. Person who probably slaved for multiple hours to get that money so they can give it to me. Actually acknowledge it. Perhaps even make a command for it, because sometimes you might forget to say thank you, or you might not see that they donated. And then you're like, oh, someone donated? And then you can acknowledge it. Always give your best in a stream. This is another one which I'm particularly passionate about. Don't waste people's time. Make them feel like they're not enough. If you have 3 viewers and you're like, this is terrible. 3 viewers. This is a waste of my time for 3 viewers. I should have at least 10 viewers. Don't sit there going, it's so unfair. I don't understand why this person gets 20 viewers and I have 3 viewers. I deserve more viewers and I'm working so hard at this. It's not fair. Because those 3 people watching you will feel more invisible than you feel. Appreciate the people watching you if you don't have many. And you will start off not having many. And if you appreciate them, they will stick around and the numbers will grow. If you treat them like they're non-existent, they will go away to someone else who treats them like they exist. And I've seen so many streamers do this. Look at the numbers and get down and go into woe is me mode. Don't do this, please. Because I want to go there and hug that person, but at the same time I'm like, hey, I'm here. I'm spending my time watching you. What about my time? Is that not worth anything? So just think about that. Do special things for your stream that show you care as well, like upping the quality, buying props, or doing things, even just doing things. Saying, I care about you guys, I made an artwork with 10 different dragons, each one is named after you guys, this one's pink because I know you like this, or whatever. Fundraising for charity. And I've had days where I'm feeling horrible and down, and I will go to my fundraiser page on Tiltify and see that I've raised $1,500 for charity, and I'll be like, hey, I'm not doing that badly. Raising money for charity is thinking beyond yourself, but it's also doing good in the world. And you have the power to do this through Twitch, and it's pretty wonderful. It's pretty wonderful. When you realize that you've gone beyond your little circle, you're beyond your 1 meter room bedroom and impacted somebody that really, really needs it. So I would actually encourage you to get involved in charity events, whether you're doing them yourself or supporting them. You can often find out about events that are happening through Discord. You can stream on behalf of a charity on your own stream. You can often do this with incentives that, say, Twitch Australia are running, or Twitch Creative. If you follow them on Twitter, you'll find out about them. Or you can go out on your own and just stream on behalf of someone. You can say X% of what I do is going to X cause. And it will not get you more viewers. So I want to put that out there. A lot of people see a charity stream and avoid it like the plague because they have no money to give and they feel guilty. But it will give you something, I think, that's a lot more worthwhile than that, which is a lasting impact on the world, which is what we're trying to do with our lives, right? That's what we're trying to do. So this is an example of a Twitch ANZ tweet, and here you can see they were raising money for Sony Foundation. I saw that they were doing this, and I clicked to join and be a part of it. So please do not raise money for a cause unless you research it first and believe in it. Realize that it's not a strategic thing to raise money for charity. That's not a strategically great decision. You're doing it because you care about the charity. Don't treat your community like an endless bag of money either. I'm doing a charity stream this week and next week and the week after, and I'm doing 3 charity streams the week after that. They're not an endless bag of money, and they will leave if they feel like that's what you're using them for. With charity, limit how many fundraising streams you do, and Give them their proper weight and importance. And also don't burn out your community. Because you can do them once or twice, maybe a month. I would recommend way less than that. But yeah, just don't burn out your community. Spread awareness of others. So this is outside of charity. These are other people you support. You can wear things that people you know make. Like, for example, one of the people that watches my streams makes these amazing bows that I wear in my hair. And I say, hey, this person made this bow. And they're really, really cool. And then that's displaying what they do. You can play games that people make. You can play music that people do. I know Nathan asked me whether he can use my music on his streams, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's really, really lovely of you. Thank you so very much, because that's supporting and spreading awareness of others. Mention others you want to support, but not just when they're there, because that's very fake. Just saying, oh, look, you're here. Everybody, look, this person's here. They're so good. Make sure when they're off stream, but they're mentioned, you also mention them. When they're on stream, oftentimes there's a reason to mention them, but, you know, keep it real is the point. Don't mention someone unless you genuinely want to spread awareness of them and you care about what they do. And thank your mods. Your mods are gold. You should do that anyway. You should thank them all the time. Your mods are basically amazing, so yeah. Now, getting in before the mainstream, this is another one of the reasons streaming is fantastic. You get to take advantage of the head start and you get to help it grow. I would say start now. I know it seems like a lot of information, but go through this. Get what you need to start now, because right now, if you stream, you go live right now with your stream, there's maybe at most another 9 or 10 people doing art, which means someone on the Twitch site has 9 or 10 people to choose from and you're one of them. If you start in a year, there'll be 50 people. How much more likely are you going to be to get clicked on now compared to then? Much more likely, right? The sooner you start, the more often you stream, the more you can build up that audience. And again, the videos that get more viewers on average are at the top. So if you build up now, then you can prepare for when those 50 people streaming at once, because you're at the top still, right? So I would say carve out your niche as well and establish yourself in it, because there are less viewers. Maybe there's no manga streamer at the moment. You could be that manga streamer. I don't know whether comics and manga actually have a huge representation on there at the moment. Maybe there is a spot already for you to go in there and say, I'm a comic artist that does sci-fi comics. And suddenly you've got something no one else does. You know what I mean? If you go there and you carve out that niche and establish yourself in it, even if someone else comes along that does sci-fi comics, you can be like, hey, I support you, my friend, but you are here, and they are here, and they're building, and you're building from there. And you grow a lot faster from up there. Make friends with other committed streamers as well, who are there now. In the future, these people are going to be the leaders. As with everything, some of them will drop off, but some of them will stay, and they will be the leaders because they were there at the start. And people there at the start build faster and build more. And don't be complacent. Even though you're starting early and you're getting a head start, and you're going to find it easier to get followers and you're going to find it easier to build, don't just be like, whatever. Always look to become better. Both in your art making skills, which has got nothing to do with the technicalities of this, but in your actual art making, and also in the technical stuff. Better cameras, whatever. When I say now, I mean it. So what I was saying before is it's growing exponentially. It's already doing this. When I started 6 months ago, I do music, as I mentioned before. There was maybe one new music streamer every couple of days. And of those, half of them stuck around, half of them dropped out. Maybe 1/4 of them are still going now, but there was not that much, right? Now, there's at least 1 or 2, usually more every day, that are trying it out. And again, not all of those will stick around, but it's still growing. The competition is growing. And I think competition might be the wrong way of looking at it, but saturation is certainly an issue. And the sooner you start, the less saturation there is. The less competition there is, however you want to look at it, it's better for you now than it will be in a year. And it's better for you in a year than it will be in 5.
So can you see this as a serious competition for YouTube? For all different...
It's different.
All different topics.
YouTube has a different audience to Twitch. YouTube has an audience that wants shorter form content than Twitch when it comes to live streaming. They've done research on this. There's actual stats on this. So in VidCon, I went to a thing that presented how long, on average, people will watch. And on Twitch, people will watch 3 to 6 hours. People will have it on in the background all day at work. YouTube, 1 to 3 hours. Very, very different. Again, the audience in Twitch interacts in different ways. There is a culture for tipping. There is a culture for supporting one another, for subscribing. YouTube, there is not. So you got to bear in mind, they're very different cultures. I think that this one, with Twitch, is better for creators.
Yeah, it's more community-based, isn't it?
I
YouTube
believe
is just
so.
like, I want a quick 3-minute video to get some answers.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think with YouTube, and I still think everybody should be doing YouTube, you can get a highlight from your Twitch stream and upload it to YouTube. You can get this artwork that you made over 3 hours and do a time lapse of it and put that on YouTube. Because if you're streaming for 6 hours drawing an artwork, you're competing with a video that's 2 to 3 minutes long of an artwork that's just as good that someone uploaded 3 years ago. People are going to click on that. 2 to 3 minutes versus 3 to 6 hours. What would you watch? Just be practical about it and think about it. I mean, I'm not saying YouTube's a bad platform. As I said earlier, if you have an audience on there, when you start streaming, a notification will go out to all million of your viewers and you will have more people watching you. That's not a bad thing. But if you don't have a YouTube audience, you're going to scare off the ones you've got and you're not going to build it as much as if you post the content that natively works. So I did a marketing workshop a while ago, and the big thing I focused on is doing what's native, like what people are there to look at. You know what I mean? If you give people what they're there to look at, they'll appreciate it. If you give people something else, they won't. So, anyway, I still think that Twitch is a really good platform. Obviously, I'm quite passionate about it, but I think starting sooner is better than later, even with YouTube, even with anything. The more you wait, the more people will do it. Someone else will steal your idea, and they will slowly perfect it and get better at doing it. And you will be behind. So don't. Help it grow, although I firmly believe it's going to grow anyway. I mean, it has Amazon behind it and it's clearly growing. The bigger and faster the viewership grows, the better this is for you. And so, if you're a part of helping it grow, the community will notice and will thank you for it. And they'll thank you by supporting you back. And you want the community to support you back. So, spread word about Twitch by letting others know, and spread it amongst your community. So make sure that people, for example, if we create a Sydney Comics Guild community, that's all streamers from Sydney Comics Guild, share that community. The reason I say to help it grow is because it's going to grow anyway. But if you grow your part of it and you're a part of that growth, you grow with it. You know what I mean? So I honestly think that if you help people within your circle grow, they will help you back. Someone's going to grow regardless. You might as well help the people you care about, right? And I think that helping Twitch grow is a good idea too. If you're going to invest time into Twitch, you want it to grow. And now we're into the next section, which is how to do well on there. The first one is to stand out. There are good reasons to stand out. There are bad reasons, don't do those. Good reasons include doing something different, doing something better, and having a unique and memorable personality. I think doing something different is the best option. Honestly, it's the most sustainable option, I believe, because there's always someone that does something better than you somewhere in the world and you don't even know them yet. But doing something different is very attainable, and it's also retainable. Carve out your niche. Don't be everything for everyone. Be a specific thing for a specific group and be the best at it. Do something curious, maybe with your art materials, your subject matter, whatever it is you want to do. Have interesting and well-directed visuals, background music, a layout. Coordinate it all so it's all your vibe, you know what I mean? And then it will be unique because it will be your vibe. But if you do something that's not done before, so rather than being like, I know what I'm going to do, I'm going to do redrawings of Superman and other comic characters, and occasionally I'm going to draw flowers, and then I'm going to do some pottery sometimes, and then I'm going to do manga twice a week, and then I'm going to do some abstract art as well, and then maybe I'll like do a little bit of sketching too of like still lifes. People will be like, well, that's just a generic art channel. I'm interested in maybe 1/10 of that, and they're not going to cling on to you as much. So if you're like, I do comic art, Western style comic art, or I do manga, specifically fantasy manga, there are people that will be like, oh my god, that's my favorite thing in the world, and go straight to you, right? And an interesting variety of shows on your channel. I think regular shows are great. Something like Manga Monday is, I think, a really good idea, because then people that like it can come to that stream. Again, I don't know whether there's a big scene for manga or comics, so there might already be an opening there to do something different. Do something better, which is just be better at a certain type of art than other people. It's pretty undeniable in certain cases when something is better than something else. And when something blows your mind with how good it is, people are going to hit follow. You can also make your stream higher quality with the equipment and how you go about it. You can foster your community and give back more than other people. Basically just understanding theory or history, or whatever you want to do, just doing it better. You know how that works, right? That's nothing to do with the streaming. Well, I guess the equipment, but outside of that, that's nothing to do with streaming. That's your own abilities, and you should be working on those anyway. But I think that that's very difficult because there's always someone better than you somewhere in the world. There's a unique and memorable personality. This one's good because you've already got half of it. Everyone's unique, but you got to make it memorable. So you need to put your personality into everything you do. When you have a command that says pencils, rather than saying Derwent pencils, full stop. If that's not the way you would say it in real life, make it like you normally would. Oh yeah, I use Derwent pencil, right? Oh yeah, I use Derwent pencils. Whatever you want to do. If you're a big fan of ASCII art, use ASCII art. Whatever you want to do. And that's the same with your visuals, your background music, the way you communicate, the way you talk, key catchphrases, which you probably do anyway without thinking about it, but just make sure that you keep them going. So there's some people that like to start with a certain catchphrase or end with a certain catchphrase. Express your personality in what you wear as well. Don't be like, oh, I feel lazy today, I'm just going to wear like this old band shirt that I wore for 3 weeks. Unless that's what you want to come across as, is lazy. I doubt that that's what anyone wants to do, but what you wear expresses your personality. I'm sure people are looking at me now and looking at what I wear, and they're getting a vibe off me. They look at Patrick, and they think he has crazy hair and a hat. Indoors. Who does that? Oh, Patrick does. You know? So it's a vibe, right? And that all goes into it and people see what you're doing. So, communication basics. The most basic principle is if it would feel awkward to say in real life, don't put it in chat. Don't say it on stream. Just don't. It's very straightforward, but people do it. Specifically Twitch, there's this one thing called kappa, which you put at the end of the sentence as a bit of a lol or a I was being sarcastic. So you could say something like, or maybe not, kappa. And that's like a thing people do on Twitch. That is kappa. I don't know how his face got put into this position, but I'm sure that guy is wondering what went wrong. And this is fire on Twitch. So when you tell people to put fire in chat, that's what it looks like. And this is Craigrasm. It looks creepy, but it means they like what you're doing. I was disturbed when I first saw it as well. It's a good thing, even though it looks creepy.
Like a wow.
Yeah, it's like a wow, but it looks... Yeah, anyway. Twitch taboos. Avoid telling people in other streams' chats that you're a streamer. So if you're in someone else's chat, don't go, hey, I stream too. I do this and this and this. You're not there to promote yourself. You're either there for the stream or you're not there. Avoid talking too much about yourself in general in other streamers' chats or in real life for that matter. Like, I mean, just a little bit of give and take is the way you want it to be, right? If you're on your own stream, then you can talk about yourself because obviously you're the one speaking. But you don't go into someone else's chat and talk about yourself the whole time. Don't ask for a shout out or a raid or for someone to gift you a subscription directly or indirectly. So don't be there going, hey guys, how's everything going? I'm thinking of streaming in 10 minutes. Seems like a good day to stream. Yeah, I think I'll stream in 10 minutes. You haven't said host me, you haven't said raid me, but why did you come into this stream and tell them you're streaming in 10 minutes? It's pretty clear that you want them to raid you, right? Don't do that. Don't point out a streamer's numbers, especially if they're low. Don't do things like, hey, did you know you've only got 3 people watching you? That's not many people. You wouldn't say that in real life. If you went to someone's concert and they had their mum and their dog and maybe 2 other people there, you wouldn't go, did you know no one's watching you? Like, you wouldn't say that to them in real life. Don't do it. Don't compare streamers or pit them against each other. Don't be like, oh, you're like this person, this artist also does this. It's just, in general, it's not very nice. People don't like being compared to other people. Don't do it. You might think it's being nice, it's not being nice. Don't tell streamers you muted their notifications because they were too annoying. I don't understand why people type this, but sometimes they do. Obviously, that's mean. If the streamer requires X dollars or X bits, like say, for example, if you're like watching a manga stream and they say, I'll do a chibi for $5, don't pay $2 and expect them to do a chibi and then complain when they don't. Again, you'd think it wouldn't need saying, but it does. Don't continuously ask for explanations of things that are explained already on their page. If they're like, if you read my page, you'll find out, that's a hint that the streamer wants you to read their page. Don't continuously ask. If you've made a request and the streamer has acknowledged it but said they don't want to do it, don't push. If there are rules in chat, follow them. Don't type in all caps all the time because it means you're screaming. Especially if it's a female streamer, don't ask them if they're single. Basically common sense. These are common sense. These ones are a little bit more unexpected, but don't shout other people out in the stream. When you're, for example, if Patrick is in my stream and I'm chatting and I'm drawing a monster, Patrick might feel inclined to say, oh, Nathan draws monsters too. You guys should totally check out Nathan. Nathan's amazing. It might feel like a nice thing to say, but in the context of Twitch, that is considered rude. You focus on the streamer that's streaming. If they want to shout someone out, the streamer can shout someone out. You should not. The exception is when they are just rated. If someone's just rated, you can go, oh, this person rated, they're really cool. That's okay, but keep it short. Though some streamers don't like that either. I've had one streamer go off at one of my viewers for, once we rated him, saying, yeah, Mary's streams are fun. He's like, no, I speak about that, you don't. So make sure, in general, you don't do that. There's some debate over whether you should say goodbye to people in chat when you leave. It's a little bit awkward. If you're very active, I would say goodbye. Hey, I'm heading off. I have something to do. If you're not very active, there's no point in saying, hey, I'm heading off, because people already thought that you were gone. Right? You also don't need to go into too much detail messaging the streamer or anyone else about when you're going to be at their stream. In real life, if someone invited you somewhere, you'd be like, hey, I'm going to come along. I'll make it. You can count me in. In Twitch world, if you're going, you just show up. So, and don't @tag the streamer in chat unless you really want to directly address them, and preferably only when it's something important. When you do that, it pings the streamer, which means they're definitely going to see your message. So in Twitter and stuff, you might be used to saying, I really reckon the pencils Mary Amber is using are old and that's why they're going on rough. If you don't really want Mary Amber to see that, don't @tag them in Twitch. Just type their name, like normal. So every time you do that, it pings the streamer. Don't do it too often. There are people that do it every single time and it's really annoying. If you're going to broadcast a vodcast, which is rebroadcasting a broadcast you've already broadcasted, be in the chat or put in the title that it's a rerun or some sort of indication that you're not there. Because some people don't know and they go there expecting to see you and you're not there. And don't raid vodcasts if you can avoid it. Learn from your audience. There's direct feedback, indirect feedback, and stats. So, asking for feedback, creating polls, reading messages people send you, which they will, even if you don't ask for them. They will send you feedback and tell you to do this and this. You can even create a stream suggestions room in Discord to put all that into one spot. You'll get direct feedback. You'll also get indirect feedback if you see conversations between members of your community where they're saying, oh, wouldn't it be so good if she did this? Yeah, it would be so good if she did this. Notice which posts your community likes and dislikes as well. See what other streams they often go to. See what other things they seem to be liking. What they post on other social networks. Sometimes they'll indirectly respond to you. Like, they might post on Twitter, I think it's so weird how streamers do this. And you look at it and you're like, hey, that's exactly what I was doing. Clearly they find it weird. Stats, often direct and indirect feedback only comes from the very active people in your community. Stats don't lie, so stats is from everybody. Average viewers is the most important. You can look at these later, but just know that average viewers is the most important. Chatters is a good indication of how engaged everyone is. Followers doesn't matter as much as you think. And it might actually break your dreams to realize that you might have 10,000 followers and have a stream that's less successful than a stream with 1,000 followers. If the stream with 1,000 followers has an active community, the stream with 10,000 followers does not. The stream with the active community is more successful. In any social network nowadays, it's the number of active followers. If you go to Twitter and you see someone has 10,000 followers, in the past, people would be like, oh my god, it's 10,000 followers, they're famous. Now, you scroll down and you look at their first few tweets. And if there's no likes on them, you go, this person's a fake. And it's the same with Twitch. Your followers do not mean anything. A lot of them could have their notifications off. The person could have streamed 10 years ago and just come back now. It's about how active they are. Revenue stats don't include donations, and donations, I would say, are the most important revenue because most of the time you're going to put the majority of your incentive on if people donate. Because if people cheer or subscribe, that money doesn't get to you for like 6 months. So in general, you want to encourage people to donate, which means the revenue stats are not complete. However, you can still look at them to see trends. Just know they're not complete. Yeah, there. Trolls. Regular viewers should be encouraged to ignore trolls, just not respond to them, and that's literally it. If some of your viewers find it difficult to understand this and often engage with trolls, maybe privately message them and say that's a very bad idea. Just ignore them, because that's called feeding the trolls, and that's how you encourage more trolls. If you just don't engage them, they go away. They're like little monster beasts. If you continuously look at them, they multiply. But if you look away, they don't. Mods. This is the people who deal with trolls. Let your mods know your preferred method of dealing with trolls. Some people are more okay with trolls, some people are not. Some people love having a toxic stream. Some people themselves are toxic, and they attract toxic people, and they love it because they're a huge party of toxic people. I doubt that's you, but if it's you, then maybe you want more trolls. So, this is my method, and this is what I've messaged my moderators. If they're outright offensive, rude, ban them. If they're borderline, mostly awkward, then get a mod to write to them, let them know that they're making others uncomfortable. If they don't respond, then time them out. If they don't change their behavior, then time them out. If they come back after timeouts and continue being a troll, delete them and ban them. So give them a second chance, basically. That's my method. You can feel free to copy-paste that to your mods if you like that method. Streamers, this is how you deal with trolls. It depends. If you take offense to them or are distracted by them, make sure that you've told your mods to just ban them on site. And if you see something, ignore it, like it doesn't exist. If you're more okay with them, you can heckle with them. You control the trolls a little bit. Be careful, because you don't want to encourage your regular community to be trolly. You don't want to reward the troll too much. But you can play around occasionally. That's what I do. Is in general, I ignore them, but if someone's borderline, and they mostly just posted something funny, I'll sometimes play. And if you're super charismatic, and I've seen this done, and this can often go viral, is if you're super charismatic, you can embarrass the hell out of them in a way that makes you endearing and makes them seem like the scum of the earth. And I've seen people sing entire songs about trolls in front of the trolls, to the trolls, or have entire routines, like troll dance routines or something. And something like that can go viral, and it can be very entertaining. But you have to be very, very careful, because if you encourage trolls in any way, they can multiply. So if you don't succeed in making them seem like the scum of the earth, if you just give them attention in the end, then you'll get more. It is socially acceptable on Twitch to literally say on stream, can someone ban this user please? So don't ever feel like you're powerless. If someone is there and causing you issues and you've got a mod, and the mod's not doing something about it, but they're making you uncomfortable, so maybe the mod doesn't know that that makes you uncomfortable, just say, can someone please ban them? I've said this on stream before, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't worry about offending them, they're going to be banned in a moment and they're going to be out of your life forever. Promotion. So, you've got social media, your website, in real life, getting shared and getting featured. Social media is the obvious one. If you don't share yourself, no one's going to share you. Put your Twitch URL in your bio, in places where people ask you to put your bio, or list your social media. Set your YouTube to show overlays. You can actually set your YouTube to show overlays when you're live on Twitch. So Google how to do that and do that, because then if someone's watching your YouTube video and you've just gone live on Twitch, something will show up saying you're live on Twitch and they can click on that to see you live. Share clips of your streams that show a highlight of some of the fun, education, whatever it is that you're focusing on that your streams have. You can even collect together a few clips on Twitch. There's actually a button on Twitch that you click on and it clips the last 30 seconds. So one of your viewers, if they find something funny, they'll click on that button and clip it for you. You often don't even have to clip them yourselves. One of your viewers has clipped it for you already. You just use it. You can collect together a few and make a longer form video if you so desire to put on YouTube or elsewhere. You got your website. Ideally, you'd have links to your channel, you'd use the Twitch logo, you'd embed the stream screen if you're very dedicated, mention it into your bios. You could use the longer video, show reel, whatever you want to do. In real life, and this is the most obvious one, tell people. I stream on Twitch. It's amazing how many people don't do this. When you're at a convention, have a little sign that says that you're on Twitch. Have your Twitch URL on your business card or whatever it is. Wear Twitch swag. If you've got like a Twitch hoodie or something, sometimes if you go to events, they're giving them out for free. People will be like, hey, do you stream? If you got Twitch swag, people will ask you, do you stream? People that don't know Twitch will have no idea what you're wearing and will just think it's some sort of designer brand. People that do know about Twitch will ask you if you stream, so it's a good way to start the conversation. And you can give incentives in real life for people to follow or subscribe. So if you're at your con table, you can say, if you subscribe on Twitch, I will give you a comic. Getting shared, this comes down to your community and content. Don't ask people in general to share. Make real connections and grow a community. They will share you. Create interesting, different, unique, mind-blowing content. It will get shared. If you must, you can do something with virality. Be aware that virality is not always good for your professional career. Think about it. But if you want to do something with virality, you can. Some people may see you as a novelty streamer then, but be careful with that. Also, when you have built a community, you can mention occasionally that you want them to share something in particular. But try and limit how much you do that, because you don't want to demand so much of your community. Every time you ask for something, you have to give something back. You know what I mean? Symbiotic, is that the word they use? Getting featured, an idea. There's an artist on Twitch who's a music streamer who has a musician of the month. You could create an artist of the month and feature one of your artist friends. You could tag Twitch, ANZ, Twitch Creates, and write hashtag Twitch Creative every time you tweet on Twitter. And sometimes they will retweet you. So if you say, I'm going live at Twitch ANZ, at Twitch Creates, hashtag Twitch Creative, I'm drawing with beetroot juice, they might retweet you. Or if you put up a clip or something. You can apply for getting featured on Twitch Weekly, that's the URL for that. Build up your stream a bit first before you do that. Apply to other sources that feature artists. It doesn't actually have to be Twitch itself, you can apply elsewhere. So there are blogs and podcasts that I've been on that are related. Communities is getting shorter as time goes. But your stream community, the Sydney Comic Skill community, I think this is the last topic we've got. But the Sydney Comic Skill community, I suggest we make this happen, and I'll go through why. Artist streamers, other artists that stream, other creative streamers. Some creative streamers include people that cook, people that do woodwork. So that's not just artists in the creative channel. Other communities you're part of outside in the real world, hobbies, church, sport, convention crowds, whatever you're part of, they're all communities. I would say Discord is the best place. I am also biased in this regard, but there's also Twitter, Facebook, Skype, other means. Discord is specifically good with Twitch though. So I'd say have that in your strategy somewhere, because again, the subscriber integration is great and the interface in general is very good and malleable.
What about stuff like Instagram or Snapchat?
Instagram or Snapchat as in live streaming on them?
Just as a social media platform.
I would say definitely use them both. Snapchat might end up fading. It's already fading because Instagram introduced stories, but Snapchat has better filters. So use the Snapchat filters, download it. Once you're done, and upload it to Instagram. You get better looking content.
Okay.
That's my own personal thoughts. But, I mean, I would say any social network is an opportunity for you to reach your audience. They've all got different rules, different communities. In my marketing workshop, I went through how to natively look at what people are there for and provide for that. So, for example, I said, like, in Facebook, people are there to see, like, stories about their friends or someone got pregnant or what they're doing Friday night. So rather than posting, this is my artwork, here's the price, you could post, I was doing this on Friday night when I went out with my friends. I watched this movie and I really, really liked it, so I thought I'd draw it. And you put it up, and if you present it in that style, you'll get a better response because that's more native. So I did all that in marketing though. So yeah, with communities though, you can have communities on those other channels and still get them to watch your Twitch channel.
Would you pay influencers to help you
No.
do anything?
No. I would suggest building your fan base organically, unless you are a business, because you're an artist, right? And people view artists differently to businesses. If a business endorses a creator, people look at that business and say they're generous and kind. People say they're supporting artists. If an artist endorses another artist, it's seen as strange. So, I'm sorry, I think I'm like kind of choking here as I speak. But I've got a Q&A section after this one. This is the last content section. So join the Discords of other streamers who do similar things to you. Be active in their communities. There's Discords like the Artist Discord or the Creative Streamers Discord you can join too. Sorry again. You can start a community if you've got the time or inclination. If someone is new, you can address them and ask them about themselves. If you get someone involved in Discord, they're more likely to stay. So, one of the most horrible things in Discord is you can get notified when people leave if you own a server. So I get notified whenever someone leaves my Discord, and a little part of my heart dies because they've left. But I've noticed if I engage with them, if I say, hey, welcome to the Discord, let me know a little bit about yourself, then we chat, they're much more likely to stay. That seems obvious, but it took me a little while to work out, so I thought I'd put that in there. And hang out in the streams of other streamers in the community. Show follow through. That one's actually probably the most important. That means the most. If a streamer sees you in their stream, that means more than any of the rest of it. Elsewhere, like tweets by people in the various communities, retweet relevant tweets, do the same on other social networks that you're active on. Basically show that you're paying attention is the short of it. Lurking is fine, and I've done this quite a bit. It's just like, you know, when you casually stalk someone on the internet and you see what they do and you're like, oh, that's cool and that's cool. But you're like, I'm not going to hit like on anything because I don't want them to know that I'm stalking. Do the opposite and do hit like on the things, because then the person feels appreciated by you. And also, people are not psychic, so they don't know that you're supporting them if you don't show it. I really strongly suggest creating this. As you saw, there's a lot that goes into starting with the stream. Again, once you've got the stuff, once you've got the equipment, you no longer have to look into equipment. Once you've set up the software, you only really have to maintain it. But it still can be confusing, and as you grow, you're going to do a lot more of the thinking about the other stuff I talked about, how to get exposure and incentivize donations and whatever. And I think having the Sydney Comics Guild community would be a really fantastic way for people within the Comics Guild who are streaming to support each other. So I think that we should create a Discord where everyone can hang out, ask questions about things that they're not sure about related to Twitch or whatever live stream they do, chat about experiences, just ask for general advice.
Well, my battery died, so.
That's all good. Hello again. Then,
There you go. Just wave everybody. These are all the people who are going to be on Twitch soon. So
Yay.
cool. Well, yeah, we're done now. So I'm just gonna.
questions.
Do you want to keep streaming through questions?
Ask them if they want to know.
Do you guys want us to keep streaming? Just say yes or no in the chat. Otherwise, you know.
But does anyone have any questions? I know it's a hell of a lot of info, but anything? Put me on the spot here.
You mentioned virality and Discord. I'm not very familiar with these two platforms.
So I went through Discord a bit earlier. I'm not sure if you were here at the time. But Discord is a bit like a forum. So you can create like your own channel, your own server where people can chat with each other. Virality is creating something with a very high level of shareability, hitting on something that emotionally hits someone and is also presented in a novel way. This can be done in a classy fashion, but it can also be done in a less classy fashion. It's up to you, but a lot of the time virality is something that can be very useful to you if you can create something that really is viral, and if you do it in a classy way. But it can be very harmful to you if you create something that's tacky and doesn't actually end up going viral and just looks bad on your profile. So be careful with it. You can't actually predict what's going to happen. So I think in general it's better to focus on having high quality content. I think it's better to focus on connecting with people, creating great content, and what'll happen is when you least expect it, the last person in the world that you thought would send you viral will take a clip of your Twitch stream, and suddenly you'll get a whole lot more views than you thought you would. Or something you put up on YouTube will get more views than you thought you would. And everyone I've spoken to that has had this happen has said the same thing, which is they didn't see it coming and it came from a really weird random source. So it's better to focus on creating good content, setting this up, and once you've set it up, focus on creating art, really good art. That's more important than what camera you use, I think. And that can create its own virality if you're good enough. So I reckon. That's my personal view though. I think everyone has personal opinions on the matter. Yeah.
Why did you choose Twitch versus all the other?
I went through this at the very start. So let's go.
I'll catch up to it if you want.
Yeah, I think so. I think YouTube is actually still a very good channel, but I think you need to have a bigger audience on there already. I think Twitch is specifically done for live streaming, and they treat their creators a bit better at the moment for sure, because YouTube's been demonetizing and such. So in general, I would say these two. This one's the other big player, but I think this one is evil. I would say these two. I would focus on Twitch because they're better for longer form content. They have more support for their creators. You can start earning from the very first day that you stream. If you become an affiliate or a partner, you can earn even more. Whereas with YouTube, you already barely earn anything unless you're massive on there. Now they've taken that away so that you don't earn anything unless you're massive on there. So I think both from a support perspective, from an income perspective, and from a what is more suitable for art making perspective, Twitch is better for live streaming. YouTube is still fantastic for short form video, and I know a lot of people abandoned their YouTubes when they got demonetized. Look at that as an opportunity to go in there and continue creating content on YouTube. Just, I think for YouTube, short form, edited content will always win, because that's what people are there for in general. And they show little thumbnails of the short form versions of what you're doing while you're live streaming. What are people gonna click on, you know what I mean? Unless they already know you and they're fans of you. So.
I think YouTube's demonetized policy might be about you can serve some of that money for their bigger viewers as well. Something like Vimeo or the bigger channels never get demonetized, no matter what they put on there.
I don't understand YouTube politics, but yeah. That's just, I mean, it is personal opinion, but I think Twitch right now is an opportunity because it's not saturated. And I think it will grow. It's supported by Amazon, and I think it's more suited, and there's better opportunity for income. I feel like this is the situation we're in now. Is that right now it's just looking so much better for small creators to be on Twitch. Even people whose content would otherwise be suited for YouTube would be switching to Twitch now, just because there's more advantages to it. YouTube, you hear me? You should change that. But yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Since you started using Twitch, how have you found in terms of gaining an audience on your other platforms such as Twitter? Have you found like a correlation in terms of the gains?
Yeah, there is a crossover. So if I gain followers on Twitch, they often follow me on Twitter.
Right.
The communities I've found on Twitch are more Twitter inclined, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they're usually not as likely to follow on Instagram, not as likely to follow on Facebook, likely to follow on Twitter. Yeah.
That's interesting because that's an older platform.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter's big. Twitter had like a bit of a down period, but Twitter's like huge now. I think they increased their character size and now people can rant more. I don't know. But Twitter's definitely really big amongst the gaming, techie sort of people. That's a very vague definition, but it's really big amongst them, and there's a lot of them on Twitch, so it does kind of link up. Twitter's also fantastic. I highly recommend Twitter. If people ask you questions, you can answer quickly and not sit there and deal with essays. It's fantastic. Any other questions?
Like for people who are selling on Amazon, do you think they can leverage off this Twitch platform
Absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
their products?
There are a lot of Twitch streamers that have Amazon merch. There's also an Amazon Associates program, which I'm a part of, where you can actually have a list of items that you recommend. Mine's called gear, but you can literally name that whatever you want. I'm gonna see if I can find it. There. So this is that violin chick, which is a streamer. That's her Amazon Associates list. And there's a whole lot of gear. And if people click on that, they get a cut of the sale. If you put your own items on there, you get a cut of the sale plus the commission you would make anyway. So, and there's a lot of people that sell merch as well on Amazon, like shirts or
Do you know how
hoodies.
much of that cut they'll get? Like,
There are details on that I don't know off by heart. But from here, if you're doing Amazon Associates, probably not much. But if you're selling the product as well, then you'll get a higher rate than you would if you just sold the product on the side. But yeah, I would say it would be beneficial. But it's beneficial in general. There are people that have watched my Twitch, liked it, and then bought my music. And they bought that from my website. That's got nothing to do with Twitch. So, or Amazon. So there's still crossover. If people like what you're doing, it's not about where they can get the stuff, it's about your stuff. You know what I mean? If they like your stuff, they'll go out of their way to get your stuff. If they don't like your stuff, well, there's
Stuff
not
it.
much you can do. Yeah. Stuff it. Yeah. Any other questions?
Say starting from like the very beginning, like you don't have a Patreon, you don't have you're not uploading like that much content, and you don't have a shop. Like, if you had like a plan to start from the very beginning.
Twitch is a really good first place.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. I would say if I had nothing and I was starting right now, I would create an account on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram. I think Facebook is evil and it mostly takes people's money. You probably still have to have a page there, but you know, I've got opinions on the matter. I would start on Twitch because people come there that are completely unknown and they get discovered. YouTube, you can make short form content, but don't expect to get views if you don't have a fan base already. The first video you upload is very unlikely to go viral. The first 100 you upload is actually very unlikely to go viral. In fact, the first 200 you upload are very unlikely to go viral. The chances of you going viral are just very unlikely in general. So it's more about consistent uploading, and if you're able to build connections, you're looking at this one at a time, you know what I mean? And Twitch does that very well. I know a bunch of people that started on Twitch. That was their first platform. Musicians that started on Twitch as their first platform, and they've grown out from there. Definitely don't start with Patreon. Definitely not the first thing. You don't start by coming up to someone and asking them for money. You don't start by going, hey, my name's Mary, this is my artwork, $5. You don't do that. So that's why I would start with a connection platform prior to a monetization one. But yeah, I'd say, yeah, if I was to start again, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, that's what I'd start with. And because of the art side of things, I'm a musician, so Instagram is not as useful for me, but as an artist, Instagram is very useful for exposure, because people look up artworks on Instagram. Yeah. But again, that's a personal opinion thing.
Yeah.
So some people might turn around and be like, Facebook is the place, Facebook is where it's at. And I'll be like, I disagree, but they might do very well. So. Yeah. Any other questions? If you came late, there's a lot of good info at the start on what equipment you should get and the software and how you can use it. So definitely go back and check it. I'll put this up on the Sydney Comics Guild, I don't know, event page or group page. Do you guys have a preference?
I'd say put it on the page, the main page, and we can just share it on
Yeah,
if we need it.
you know what to do.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you. Yeah, you do. Baya, that's my name. Keep in touch. That is my name on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, whatever. It's the same everywhere. So, Mary Amber. It's also my name. So you can just say, hey, Mary.
You got your name on everywhere?
Yeah. It's good.
Without
It's
the
not
E
funny.
anywhere?
No.
Like, without like a 3 anywhere?
No. Yeah, that's what you get for having funny spelled name, right? You get the URLs. I had to have facebook.com/MaryAmberMusic for a while because of Miriam Burr. This Miriam Burr was taking up the page, but she left eventually, so I got Mary Amber. But yeah, if you guys have questions, I'm happy to share. There's also that streaming music site with royalty-free music that's good for streaming, or music that people have approved for streaming, and I'll give that to Han as well to put up just the URL as part of the thing, because that'll be the easiest, then you can click on it and go there. But yeah, I do highly encourage going up to musicians and asking them too, because they will be stoked. If you ask me if you could use my music in the background of your art, I'd be stoked. And because I can say that, I can say many other musicians would say that. I think that's everything. Is the buyer screen, so that's a goodbye.
Awesome.
Okay, so that's great. Thank you.
Sorry about like nearly dying and everything.